And we are live. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hello.
Okay. So sorry. Everybody. You all know we never make it on time. Always some controlled chaos here. But we're here. Thanks for waiting, everybody. There's a bunch of people here already. But first, let's introduce our guest, Lecton from Reading from the Depths. Do we? Should we do? We never do the intro right away, but should we do the intro right now?
I think it'll be good for Lecton to talk about his channel because he's not. This is the first time he's been on here.
Yeah.
And he's been on. You've been on my random live streams, haven't you? Have you been on something of mine?
I've been on your birthday live stream.
Yeah, the birthday.
Just like a week ago.
Yeah. So people might know him for that, but talk about your channel.
Yeah.
I read books, talk about them online. Not much to say. My channel's been around about a year, celebrating my 1-year anniversary coming up next week.
Sweet.
One of the things I like to do when I read, I try to read what I do deep reading or intimate reading, where whatever I'm reading, whether it be genre fiction or anything, try to find something meaningful in it, right? As a way, I think storytelling is one of the ways we understand ourselves, right? It's one of the uncommon things about humanity is that myth making is what makes human history human in many ways, right? And myth making comes from our ability to tell story. So whatever the story is, I like to try to find a way to engage it as such a way to find something meaningful in my life, even if it's some pulpy, trashy genre fiction. And so when I read and do reviews, I try to find a way to make anything I'm reading, have meaning to my everyday life. So I try to share a little bit of that online. That's about it. Nothing too exciting.
Yeah. And yours is primarily reviews or reviews and wrap-ups. Do you ever do tags and stuff like that?
I do tags. I mean, I try to do at least one review a week, and then the other one is going to be whatever I happen to have time for, Okay. And the thing with tags is a lot of tags, I don't just showing off books or talking about books gets a little boring to me. So if it's a tag that just wants me to list these 10 books that meet these prompts, I don't often do that. And if it's a tag that I don't feel like I have something to add, I often jump it.
Yeah.
I've been realizing now, though, especially because I'm preparing an AMA and Ask Me Anything for my 1-year anniversary, that a lot of things I think I've already said on my channel, so I don't have to say them again. You forget that you have a lot of new subscribers all the time.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the questions are I've already answered all these many times, but you're oh wait, many people haven't heard them.
People don't watch the old ones. The old videos don't get looked at. Yeah.
So
I discovered something really weird about YouTube, BookTube, that part of the reason why I put so many videos up is that I realized that after 3 days, if it's not a really successful video, that's where the views stop after about 3 or 4 days.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, people just don't watch the stuff. I've got a book review of Children of Time that I put on the video on my channel about a year after I did the thing, and then people go, "Oh, have you read Children of Time?" Then it's I did a video, but people don't know because they don't watch them. They would know. And it's nobody's fault. It's just true that they see the immediately new ones, but they don't see anything else. So,
So I'll probably end up doing a few more tags here and there to try to fill in the gaps, I think. But my main thing is reviews. When I started the channel, I started it because I was getting a lot of arcs, on NetGalley and things like this. And I felt bad that the only place I was leaving reviews for these arcs is on Goodreads. And I'm well, if publishers are giving me free books, I want to have at least some platform to share them a little wider. And so that's kind of why I started. And then I got sucked into the whole BookTube, ecosphere. And so things, took off from there.
As we all do.
Yeah. Dave, Lecton did an amazing tag, which was what was it, about 60 something?
Oh God, yeah. My life in genre. There was 60 prompts. Yeah.
And I did that, and I was that's when I talked about. I think that was the first time I talked about my childhood with the abuse in the family and stuff, and because I was talking about being a dad, and I talked about stuff I had never talked about before. I think on my version of that tag. So I thought it was a brilliant tag, and it started me talking about that kind of thing.
Yeah, okay. I'll have to go check it out. Gareth had mentioned you to me once before. I don't know, a month or two ago or something. I don't know how long ago it was he first started engaging with you, and I do remember him. I had never seen you until you were on his live stream. What was that, a week ago, whatever? He had mentioned you once to me once before. There's this guy Lecter, he's a Buddhist monk. He's like really cool, and you should check him out. But I never went and checked you out until last week. And so now I've watched a couple of your videos, and I really like your way. And like how you were talking about how you just now about really trying to like dig a little deeper and finding some relevance for our lives and everything. Like I just watched one of the last ones you did about it was a horror about, what was it called? Not The Good House, the something house.
Model Home.
The Model
Home.
The
new one. That just came out. Yeah, Model Home.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I was really kind of amazed at the depth, impressed at the depth that you went into with that book, and really like trying, finding all the, relevant to real life struggles.
Thanks, mate.
Yeah, it was really good. So.
Thanks.
And just bouncing off that, when we do our live shows, usually the next day, not normally straight away, but definitely at least the next day, we have a chat. Go like, "Oh, that was cool, wasn't it? Blah blah was really good." And like straight away, Dave sent me a message going, "Lecter's really cool, isn't he?" After the
very kind.
Let's just say hi to everybody real quick here, because we are really behind. Oh really my goodness! The comments start at 5:39.
Is that 11:39? No, it can't be 11:39.
Elaine was leaving comments at 5:39. Garrett, did you get all your work done? Hey Heidi, hello book lovers. We're reading so much science fiction. That's great. It's not even Rocket Summer yet.
Yeah.
Mockingbird, iRobot, Earth Abides now. Only Forward.
Yeah, I want to read Mockingbird. Earth Abides is on my radar for Rocket Summer, but I've had Mockingbird from the library because Ollie sent me a message saying you need to read it, you'll like it. So I do need to read it.
I just read Earth Abides. I don't know, 2 months ago or something. Have you read that, Legnan?
No, I haven't.
Oh, okay.
What do you think?
It was good. It was good. It was, it was one of the earlier, post-apocalyptic survival, restarting humanity stories. I think it influenced an awful lot.
Who's it by?
George Stewart.
George Stewart.
Yeah, George Stewart.
Yeah,
George Stewart.
George R. Stewart or something. Yeah. Yeah.
So it was really good. It follows our main character. You see a lot of it over time. It follows our main character, Ish. And he gets like bitten by a snake and ends up like hiding out in this cabin with like a high fever and stuff. And so basically, once he rejoins he comes to again and rejoins the world, he realizes that the whole world has succumbed to some some kind of illness, some kind of plague. And so at first there's, he's not seeing anybody except a dog. He finds a dog. And then, but then, he gradually, he meets a couple people one by one. I won't spoil the story, but he meets a couple people one by one, puts together a group and then a family. And, and you see it transition, you see this progress throughout the years, and he has this particular, view of probably what most of us would have living in the present world of how to try to restart society, just with traditional standard things like, schooling and staying on top of maintenance and things like that. And he comes to a lot of, his desire to kind of restart a civilization this way is constantly conflicting with the needs of children and grandchildren as things go on. And he learns a lot of lessons about, the new world and what's needed in the new world, And so, it was good. It was a little sad, but it was pretty good. I mean, there's a reason it's a classic, So.
I mean, I also kind of feel like any sort of dystopian where everyone dies probably should be a little sad, right?
Yeah.
Like maybe you're like, here's the setup. Everyone is dead.
Yeah.
Have fun. You're like, okay, well, maybe there should be a little bit of, you should feel something about that, right?
There's only so many dad jokes that would work in that plot.
Speaking of dystopian settings, Gareth, I don't know if you're ready for this. I'm going to show you.
I'm living in a dystopian setting at the moment.
I got this for was this for Father's Day or my birthday? This was for my birthday, I think. You ready for this, Gareth?
Go on.
Mm.
Whoa!
Oh,
Can you
that's
read
great.
that? Is it backwards?
Yeah.
Or
no, we got it.
Yeah.
That is great.
Amazing. I thought it was a Walking Dead t-shirt. I didn't even
Yeah, so did I.
Yeah,
Because where it's cut off.
that's so cool.
That's
Love it.
excellent.
Oh, hey, Jenny, our producer. Jenny's our producer.
Hello, Jenny.
Darlings, you missed me? We did. Where have you been, Jenny? Jenny was absent the last two, right?
Yeah. Shall I show you what I got for Father's Day myself?
Yeah, let's see it.
So the US and the UK have the same Father's Day, do we?
Yeah,
Last Sunday. That's amazing.
Last Sunday,
Mother's,
yeah.
Mother's Day is different, isn't it?
yeah.
So that's interesting. So yeah, I had a great day with my daughter, and I had a chat with my son, but he couldn't come over. He was working, but I had this amazing microphone.
Oh yeah.
Oh, nice.
Amazing gift. So I haven't even opened it yet. So all this work stuff. But once the dust settles, I'm gonna plug it in. Hopefully, it will transform my channel. Hopefully, so yeah, amazing. Really nice gift. Very very generous. So yeah,
So
that was really lovely.
Are you when you go, just because I discovered this when I got my same thing, I got my fancy microphone as a gift. I would have never bought it for myself, but I got it as a gift. But there's like a little, if you're going to use it for like recording videos on your phone and stuff, there's like a little just hit me up when you're doing it, because there's, I can maybe save you a little trouble. There's only, you got to go through an app and stuff. It's
Okay.
you know what I mean. It's so you can't just plug it in and go
Okay.
with a mic like that. So
Okay. It's a bit weird at the moment because obviously I had to stop using my phone and start using my iPad because my phone's port was a bit weird and my sound was going funny, wasn't it, in the live streams?
yeah.
So I started using my iPad, but apparently my iPad's going to get decommissioned by my college soon.
Oh.
So then I've got this laptop they've given me, which is lovely, but I don't know how that's going to work with the live stream. So I'm in transition at the minute. So we'll see. I'm hoping it won't interfere with our show. Do you know what I mean? That's the first thing I thought of. When it was like, when I was told that I was going to lose the iPad, I was like, well, hold on a minute. I've got a fortnightly show.
Come on now.
Yeah.
Priorities.
I've got videos stacked up till next year. That's fine. That'll happen anyway. But it's the show. I had a lovely nice roast dinner as well. That my daughter and her husband cooked as well on Father's Day. It was awesome.
Excellent.
Love a good roast.
All right.
Anyway,
Everybody's saying hi. Everybody's saying hi. William's here. Hey. Oh.
It's him.
Did I not? Yeah, it's not in the description.
That's me.
Yeah, it's Lectin. We covered that already, though, right? Hi, William. Never does. Always a surprise.
Yeah, we usually put it on a community post, don't we?
Yeah, which I forgot to do again, but
I'm meeting my ass backwards, so I didn't.
That's okay. I'm a shameful little secret. I understand.
So everybody, Lectin, so he is in India.
Yeah.
So he is not staying up late for the show. He got up super early for this show. That's how far off he is from us. So Lectin got up at 3:30 in the morning his time to do this show.
Yeah. Well, up at 3. Starting at 3:30. Yeah. You know.
Yeah. Oh, that's
gotta
right.
Get the coffee. Got to get the coffee made before going. And of course, last night. So my, at the monastery we debate. That's like our main pedagogy, right? I'm in this extensive study program at the monastery of studying Buddhist philosophy in depth. It's a 25-year-long study program, and our main pedagogy is debating, and we debate in the evening, and debating goes until about 9:30 last night, which is usual. Sometimes a little later, usually about 9:30. But then I had a special prayer service that went an extra hour So of course it's like the one night I'm like, I just need to get home. All my evening stuff, I'm gonna put it aside so I can go to bed early, so I can get up at 3. And they're like, oh no, wait, you have to go do another thing for another hour. So I didn't get home until almost 11 o'clock.
Oh,
yeah.
You know, the Tibetans are really good at afternoon naps. Like when they came, like literally, like the Tibetans moved to India, and they're like, it's so hot here, we can't do like a normal. We just adapt to the culture. So the whole monastery shuts down between 11:45 a.m. and 2 p.m. Everything just closes.
wow.
So the Tibetans all just nap all afternoon. So, and I don't. I usually am working in that time. So I think I'll employ the method of napping this afternoon, and we'll see how it goes.
Gareth, he's talking about a kip. We always have it.
We're multi. We can do both words over here. We're very clever.
Well, let's not get started on Indian English.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you call a biscuit?
Oh, it's biscuit over here. Yeah. I mean, all of Indian English, right? It's post-colonialism, post-colonization.
Yeah.
So
India's
it's what the
basically
Indians have done from their times being colonized. So yeah, it's all biscuits.
Well, and the a lot of people joke in this country that the national dish is Madras curry. And,
Is what?
Madras curry.
Yeah.
Oh.
Or chicken tikka masala.
Yeah, chicken masala, which was invented for English Indians, wasn't
For
it?
Brits, yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
So yeah, there's obviously a very clear historical, cultural connection between England
Yeah.
and India.
Let me catch up here. You're saying hi. Whoop, what'd I do? Sorry. I just messed it up. Just pulled a Gareth. Hold on. Here we go.
Pulled a Gareth.
Well, because when you were on the phone, you used to remember you would like accidentally go to the end and then got my new job. Oh, what's the new job, William? Congratulations. Hi, Erie. Not even started, and Dave going to scramble to catch up with comments. Yeah, as always. I think it's a tech issue, or is Gareth hunting for a cup of tea?
Oh, so this is still before we started.
Yeah. All
This is before we started. This is typical. Like, and we're always always play catch up.
We're always a couple of minutes late, but we're much more late than normal today.
Yeah,
Right?
everybody's saying
And
hi, congrats to William.
That's today. I was telling Dave that it's just tell everyone it's on Indian time. Everything on Indian time just runs a little slower. Nothing starts the time you expect it to, which is for someone like me who, in general, like I'm very like I don't like being late to anything. I come from working in the theater. So when you work in the theater, you have to get there 15 minutes before your shift starts, right? Like you have to be RTG when the time comes. So I'm on time for everything. And in India, it breaks you of that habit right quick. Or it breaks you of being, karisana. It breaks you of being like frustrated when people are late because nothing is on time. Everything is 10 minutes later than you expect it to be.
Yeah.
That's very chilled though, isn't it? It's a good way to go.
Yeah.
Like a little more mellow. I would get along very well over it, I think. No, Elaine. Just prima donnas. That most of us fumble our lives. Yep. Hi, Diane. Sorry, just catching up here. Constance is here. Hi. It's great news. That is great news. He's going to let us know what it is in a minute. Here, you need some water? And no, it's hot.
Yes, please.
There you go. It's hot.
It's really hot here. Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
I don't know. Alexa, what temperature is it today here?
At the moment, it's 20 degrees Celsius.
Okay, it's about
Tonight,
7. Yeah, right.
you can expect
Yeah,
a
no,
low
shut
of
up.
16 degrees.
Alexa, stop. So about 70 Fahrenheit, 70 something Fahrenheit. But it's bad.
Is that hot?
Well, considering it's midnight, I'm just. I won't tell you what I'm wearing because I'm not wearing a lot.
Don't worry, I'm also not wearing any pants, so you're okay. To be fair, I don't own any pants, but
I won't be getting up. If someone goes, oh, I could get that book, I'm not going to get that book.
How great is this, Gareth? Somebody else actually, for once, that also does not wearing pants on the live stream.
No.
Well, I think, Leighton, do you normally wear pants anyway?
No, I don't own any pants, so it's it would be a very uncommon event for me to put on pants just for your live stream. I have to go find some.
Begins with an
We should have, Dave. We should have put some robes on respect.
In solidarity.
Yeah. Maybe next time. I'm sure Lecton will come on again if he wants to get up at 3 again. We can do it next time. Yeah, a little chatting backstage, William. Oh man, I did it again. What's going on?
We should get William back on again. He came on for one of the general ones where we had a few people.
Yeah, the open mic.
Yeah.
All right, a lot of people happy to see you, Lecton.
Happy to be here.
The Slew of Robot Dystopia.
I haven't read Dr. Blood Money. I've read a bunch of Dick, but I haven't read that one.
What about you, Lecton? You read some Philip K. Dick?
I've read a little bit, not Dr. Blood Money though. I've read kind of the ones that everyone knows, the popular, the titles that jump out.
Like Ubik?
Ubik's mental. Were you thinking Duangel's Dream and High Castle?
Exactly.
Yeah, got those.
I've got a handful of others that are waiting. I've got, with a lot of the classics, like I have a handful and they're sitting on the shelf, but you're just like, I'm always overwhelmed with reading anyway. So trying to find time to fit them in, it gets a little overwhelming,
Yeah, totally.
Didn't you say, I thought maybe on Gareth's live stream, I think, maybe you say you read like 20 books a month or something? Is that
usually these days between 15 and 20 a month? Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, some of those are novellas, right? Some of those are novellas, and I like reading short story collections. So there's always at least 1 or 2 short story collections or anthologies. But yeah, about 20 a month.
Do you just devote a lot of time to it, or are you like a crazy fast reader?
No, I'm not a slow reader, but I'm not crazy fast. I'm not a slow reader though, and I just do devote a lot of time to it. But it's kind of a problem right now. Like there's other things I need to be devoting time to. So so I have to rebalance a little bit.
Do you find with your lifestyle and where you are and your education program, do you find you've got quite a lot of headspace?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, part of the program here is like trying to figure out how to use your headspace right, So being able to read is a chance to get away from everything else I'm doing, I mean, part of what I do when I read, and again, this is, I don't like to like make these hard distinctions between like a spiritual life and a worldly life, so I like to like mix the sacred and profane. And part of the idea, at least in practicing Buddhism, and I guess hypothetically all religions, is that whatever it is you're doing, you shouldn't just practice your religious beliefs like once a week, right? It shouldn't be like when you go to temple or church or temple or anything like this. And so I try to live those things and like my religious beliefs throughout everything I do. So even though like when I'm studying in the monastery versus like what I believe and then what I do in my off time, it all kind of blurs together, hypothetically. That's the goal, at least, So, but when your whole program is like dedicated to kind of figuring your own shit out, hopefully you have some free headspace.
Yeah.
All right. We're definitely going to get into more of that. Let me just catch up here, and then I want to ask you some more about that.
No worries.
Congratulations on 1 year, Lecton.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm looking forward. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
I got a bunch of questions to go through. Yeah.
Constance like Dr. Blood Money. Hey, MJ. Watching on a big screen, so I'm mostly quiet.
Wow, we're being shown in the cinema.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Finally the respect you deserve.
You guys ever worry about that? Like that? So I don't really think about it much because that's not how I watch most of it. But then people sometimes tell me, like, I didn't comment, I hadn't commented in a while because I was watching it on the TV, and then I'm like, does that get you a little bit? And other people got you.
I should have shaved, definitely. I've got a no headspace look on me at the moment.
Yeah. No, that's never even crossed my mind that people could be watching me on TV. That's thanks for that, Dave. Thanks for putting that in there. I appreciate it.
Yeah. I mean, the reality is, consider this, Lecton, right?
Yeah.
You actually hear from, it's like before when you were talking about doing the questions and you realize you have all these new subscribers. I've never heard the answers to your questions before. The majority of those subscribers, like, you never hear from them. Right?
Yeah.
You never even hear from them. So you okay? You all right? So I forgot where I was going with that. I don't know. Anyway, maybe just that you got all these people that you don't even know that like have you blown up on the TV, video after video, real big.
But also, they
Yeah.
do notice the physical aspects, like Brandy, book collecting Brandy, I talked to her when I was on Voxer, and I love chatting to her. But genuinely, quite often she'll send me a message just laughing because there was something in my appearance that she thought was funny.
Yeah.
And like one video, I had like something in my hair or something, and I didn't know it was there. And she just thought it was hilarious that this thing was bobbing up and down in my hair. I know what it was, but you know what I mean. She was fixated on that, and that must happen to lots of people that they just like.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
You know, it's got a spot.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're not the full makeup kind of people, are we? So.
Oh,
that's what I was thinking of, right? Because you have all these people, you only hear from a small percentage, but there's a lot more people watching. So it's guaranteed, right, that you have a good group of people that are actually watching you on big screens, you know.
Yeah. I mean, luckily, if you look in your analytics, I think over 50% are looking on their phones. So that's nice.
But
you
if you
keep
do
your production value low.
if you do single book reviews, then nobody's watching them anyway.
Yeah, exactly. I know. Trust me.
You know, you say that, but that's probably most of your single book reviews. But you know, before you were talking about most of your videos, they pretty much expire after 3 days.
Yeah, and book reviews are the one things that don't, right? They're evergreen.
Right.
So
yeah, sometimes they don't. No, you're right. Sometimes they don't. But yeah.
No, I literally just, when I logged on today to get onto this, I saw someone had commented on a video of mine from months ago, on a book review that they had just read. So
yeah, it's always the same ones that you keep getting. For me, it's also the Children of Time stuff, Gareth. I also get, this was like a long time ago, I still always every month getting views on my Dark Vanessa video. Right. A lot of people searching for that one.
Yeah. I remember I did a Wayfarer series, the whole 4 books a couple of years ago. I did a video on those a couple of years ago, and it wasn't like tons of views, but then I accidentally I was looking at something else, and then there was a list of the book reviews, and then like a playlist, and then I saw that and I thought, oh, actually, where is that now? And it had increased. People had noticed it. I think it's on like, I don't know, 300 or something, or 400 or something, which is good for me. But yeah.
Hey MJ, all right, I'm still saying hi here.
Yeah, we haven't even got to the beginning of the screen, the live stream, have we?
I think we just did. What is this? I'm having trouble because I'm getting a new pop-up thing. It's talking about hide the comments. All right, hi Jenny and Elaine. Everybody saying hi. Everybody missed each other. I'm reading wackiest books first. 3 Stigmata. Why doesn't that surprise me?
He's got a lot of wacky stuff. It's got to be said. He's quite unusual. He's a unique man because he was really troubled as well, wasn't he?
Was he?
Yeah. He was paranoid, and he had all sorts of things going on in his head. He didn't have headspace.
Yeah.
Keep using my older videos, not from my subscribers though. Yeah, because it's random people searching.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But then sometimes you have to remember what you actually said in those old videos. That's kind of the problem. You get a review, and it's like you're like, I have to rewatch this video before I can answer your comment because I have no clue what I actually thought about this thing a year ago.
That's right.
Yeah, or you think, or you kind of grow fond of something, and you watch the video and you were slagging off. You go, oh, I really did like it. I can't although I liked it.
Yep. That and right, does that happen to you too? Because like sometimes there are books that they really grow. I didn't love them at first. Yeah. And the more you sit with it, the more you come to appreciate it, and you get to a point where you don't remember what you said. If you like it now,
yeah,
right? Yeah. But you're not sure if you said you did when you did the video.
I've definitely.
There's a couple of books, like I remember I was to mention the Electric State before, the illustrated book, that you read it and you go, okay, but then it plays on your mind, and like through the next week you're really disturbed by it, and you think, well, that's actually quite an impressive thing that can stay in your mind, you know.
Lecton looks like he has one in mind.
No.
Just,
I mean, I read a lot of disturbing books, so they're the kind of things that after you read it, it may not like leave a big impression right away, but then it just like it kind of gnaws at the back of your head, and you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah. I'll tell
That's
you,
good.
Garrett. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No. I was gonna say, that's good writing if it's something that
Yeah,
it sticks with you. Even if you read the book and you're like, I don't know if I even like this, but it's not leaving my head. Then that's something.
Yeah. Yeah. That happened to me, Garrett, a little bit with that Alien Clay. At the moment,
Yeah.
Did you read
Yeah.
that one? I know you're a big Tchaikovsky fan, Lecton. Did you read that one?
I haven't yet. It's sitting on my shelf. I'm going through. I'm finishing. I still have Children of Time. That's next in the queue is Children of Memory, the third one.
Memory.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm gonna do that, and Cage of Souls are the two that are next on my
Ooh.
Tchaikovsky queue.
When do you
Cage of
think?
Souls.
When are you
Cage of
thinking of
Souls.
reading Cage of Souls?
We should read that.
Hopefully, I mean, the goal was to read it this month, but I have literally 7 books left that were in my goal for this month. So I don't think it's going to happen. Either the end of this month or beginning of next month is the goal for Cage of Souls.
How quickly will you get through that book once you start?
Yes.
Well, if I'm just doing it on my own and not a buddy read, probably about 2 days. Depending,
Wow.
it depends on like what's going on at the monastery. So here at the monastery, we have 2 seasons. We have we go back and forth. So half the time we have debate in the morning and the evening, and then half the time we only have debate in the evening. So you have much more free time in the morning. And so it just depends on how busy I am, and it depends on like what topic I'm studying, like how much I actually have to devote myself to whatever it is that I'm here to study. And it depends on then how much I'm teaching. I teach as well at a Buddhist temple in Bangalore, which is nearby. It's about 7 hours away. And so sometimes I'll head out for the weekend. I'll teach there for the weekend and then come back. And so if I'm teaching a lot one month, I have a lot of time on the bus, which I can get a lot of reading done on the bus, but I'm also like exhausted all week because I've done 14 hours of travel over the span of 2 days.
Yeah.
So it just depends on what's going on, how much I can read,
Okay.
But generally a book like that. So Cage of Souls, how big is Cage of Souls? It's not too big, right? Oh no, it is. It's a chunk. It's pretty big.
Yeah.
It's pretty big. That might take 3 days probably,
Wow. That would take me a good 2 weeks at least.
Yeah.
Oh really?
At least. Yeah.
I will say, like, I find with Tchaikovsky, his writing it's really easy to write. Like, I mean, it's really easy to read. It's not even the stuff that's like really heady and he's got a lot of things going on. It's just like very, very readable. So I fall into it really quickly.
Yeah.
No,
At least that's been my experience so far.
Yeah. No, and if it was that big and he didn't write like that, it'd take me 2 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, same thing. I just finished Robin Hobb's trilogy, the Lifeship Traders trilogy. So that's a fantasy. So Robin Hobb, she's famous for The Realm of the Elderlings, which is a 16-book series, and within it there's 5 sub-series, and the second one is called Lifeship Traders, and each of those books is 900 pages long. So they're all like huge books. And I just finished the third one, and so you have about 3,000 pages over the course of these 3 books, but it reads so quickly just because she's like really picked up the pace, and it's so you get invested so much in the story that you don't realize you're reading a 900-page book, unless you have the physical book. And then when your wrists hurt at the end of a reading session, then you're like, oh, wait.
But we just read our first Robin Hobb a few months ago, didn't we, Dave?
Yeah, we read.
The first in the Farseer trilogy, right? I saw.
Yeah.
And Joe really wanted to carry on straight away, but it's such a big book. It took me so long that it would have knocked everything else out. So I said,
well,
I'm gonna have to wait.
The Farseer trilogy is, the Farseer trilogy. So the first trilogy moves quite slowly, and right, it's all this very first-person, contemplative, very, very slow-moving. And if you look at those books, the second book is about twice as long as the first book, and then the third book is twice as long as that. Like the Farseer trilogy, they're not the same length. All 3 books just get bigger and bigger, and it stays kind of slow and contemplative. Whereas the Lifeship Traders, it's a much different format. It's not first person, it's third person, it's multiple point of view, it's jumping all around, and it's much faster paced. It's like an entirely different writer almost, except that her dedication to character is the same. Like she really cares about character and gets you invested in what's happening. So that's the same, but the writing tone and style is a lot different. But the Farseer can take a while to get through. It's a little bit slow moving. So if you appreciate that, it's fun. But
would you say she's one of your favorite writers?
No. She's not. I mean, I've only read these 6 books by her, but I'm really impressed by them. And a lot of people love the whole Realm of the Elderling series, so I'm trying to get through it. I was hoping to get through it this year. I don't know if I will, though. I still have 10 books left to go, but we'll see. I'm really enjoying it, though. It's too early to say she's one of my favorites, just because
That's fair enough. Yeah.
But Lifeship Traders is really good, and it doesn't follow any of the same characters from Farseer. You could just jump in on Lifeship, and it references the events slightly, but that's it. then it changes the world. Like she does world building in Live Ship that contradicts what you learned in Farseer trilogy. And so then the next series goes back to Fitz, the same character that's in the Farseer trilogy. And so all of a sudden, what you know as a reader about the world is different than what he knows. And so
that's very clever.
You know, so it's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm.
Huh.
Mm.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I will say there's something about fantasy writers. I don't know, you know, I've been reading more fantasy recently, but like, how come every fantasy series has to be a dozen books long? And just like, you know,
Yeah.
It's just like, you know, come on, give me a trilogy. I will say what's nice about the Realm of the Elderlings is that it's broken up, right? You have these like, you can like a natural stopping point, like 3 books, 3 books, 3 books. But they're so long. It's just like, okay, 16 books is a lot now to finish a story.
When I was first reading properly, so like getting into 14 years old, 15 years old, that kind of thing, I was reading science fiction, but I started reading fantasy at that age. And I was reading like Lord of the Rings, Belgariad, the Shannara books, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So I've read all like some big series, but then I started reading the series quite quickly, and I really like small plots in fantasy stuff. You know, like I really like the heist in Brandon Sanderson's first book. I really like that aspect of it, and I love the Sword series for Fritz Leiber because they're small stories. You know, and you know I'm doing. I don't know. I think you two do know that I'm doing this video for Alice. And the book I've chosen is one that's a fancy book. That's a small. It's about 6 characters, you know, and it's a, you know, a kind of a domestic plot in a lot of ways, but it's still violent. But it's a small plot. Do you know what I mean? It's not like they're not saving the world. They're saving one person, you know. And I love that. You know, that's. I wish there was more fantasy stuff that was smaller.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's always so much epic that everything is so epic in many fantasies, and you're just like, okay, I appreciate the scale and the scope and all the world building, but come on now. Yeah, I mean, Tchaikovsky does have quite a few, you know, novellas and standalones in his fantasy work, though he also has Shadow of the Apt, which is 10 books and plus a bunch of novellas, so he has a little bit of both, I suppose.
Have you read any of the Shadow of the Apt?
No, not yet. I'm slowly collecting them, getting ready to. The idea of reading multiple series that are huge at the same time is a little overwhelming to me. So, you know, I'm reading Realm of the Elderlings. That's my like big series right now. And then when I'm done with that, I'll probably do the Malazan books. Like that's on my queue. I really want to read the Malazan books. And then when I get through those, then we'll see if I'm ready for Shadows of the Apt or not.
Dave, you abandoned the Malazan, didn't you?
Oh, really?
I abandoned it. Yes, is the answer to this question.
No dithering. Yes.
You didn't want to say it.
I abandoned it not permanently and not out of dislike. I abandoned it out of a self-perceived lack of competence at this point in time.
or was it lack of headspace again? Is it headspace? You need to have a really clear head to read something that dense.
Yeah, it wasn't that I didn't have headspace. I had headspace at the time. It was just I had heard. In fairness, I had heard beforehand that you need to have a lot of experience with epic fantasy before you try to tackle that series. I went into it anyway because there was like a huge booktube wide read along going on, and it was too much. It was too much. I liked it, but it's a lot. So I quit midway through the second, and they're all long, you know. So I quit midway through the second book with the intention that I would restart again, like 10 years from now, after I've read some more fantasy. But you know, I don't know. I mean, the thing about not only these books long, but that like you have to read like these whole series to get like any kind of like real closure. You know, I don't like the thing I like about Tchaikovsky is like half the ones I've read, they're standalones, but even the ones that are even the Children of Time series, every one of those, I was just having this conversation with my daughter the other night about every one of those is 100% complete closure at the end of the book, even though he like masterfully continues the story on and takes, you know what I mean? Like he takes that world and goes on, but there's nothing left unanswered at the end of each book. You know what I mean? So
I was really shocked when the second one came out. I was like, I thought Children of Time had such a fine
right?
ending.
You thought it was done.
But he was clever with it. He took it somewhere else and did a different thing with it. And it wasn't a repeat of the first book either, you know. So he did the right thing. But I was like, what? It's a finite story. What's going on? You know. So it's good when it's like that. It's better. It's better than, because when I remember, I've talked about this before, but when I read the first Blade, and literally it's just a setup for the second book. Yeah. And I was just like, well, that's cheeky, you little bastard.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Give me a story. Don't give me half a story.
I read this sci-fi. I always say duology. I don't think that's actually the correct term for it, but
everyone says duology. Don't worry about people who say it's not a proper word. Everyone says that.
It was Peter Hamilton, and I don't know if it had a name, but it was, the first book was Pandora's Star, and the second book was Judas Unchained. Right? They were 1,000 pages each. And it was literally, just the book cut in half. I mean, literally at the end, this is not a spoiler because you won't know what it's about, but literally at the end of the first book, it's literally a guy's boat, like going off the waterfall. It like literally was just a 2,000 page book cut in half. There's no way you could stop, you know?
Yeah.
It took forever. It took forever.
If it's that kind of ending, it's like you've just finished a chapter rather than finished a book, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you have to keep going. If you don't keep going, you might forget where you were or the plot. You know, so it's a little bit like you haven't really finished the book. You got a different you got a different physical thing, but it's not really it's not really a different book. Yeah,
it was literally right in the middle of the story. You know, I mean, it was.
Well, I mean, it's same with Robin Hobb's Lives of Traders. Every book ends. And there's like little story arcs within each book. So like things happen and you have some sort of resolution, but really no resolution to the very end. You have to go through all 3,000 pages to get there. Yeah. So you know, you have to commit to the whole thing or not start, because you just get frustrated if you're like, wait, all the characters I care about are like in the middle of peril, but I have 1,800 more pages to know how it ends.
I'd be like, all those characters I did care about, but now I've forgotten them.
Yeah, I will say at least that series is nice, where it only has about 5 or 6 main characters. It's really focused on one family, and then like on the peripheral of that family. It's when you get some of these books that have 24 characters you have to keep track of. That's when it gets really hard, you know, when you're trying to follow them. I will say, have you read the Tyrant Philosopher series by Tchaikovsky?
No, it looks good though.
It's really great. It's phenomenal. But again, those are all more or less standalone. There is a bigger world that's built throughout all books. And there's one character who pops up in all 3 books. And then a number of characters from the second book move to the third. But they're standalone stories. Like, you don't have to read them that way. Yeah. But the first story especially, almost every chapter is a different a different character. Like you don't repeat a character's POV until like the 15th or 16th chapter. Because you're just moving, because it's giving you like a big overview of a city. It's a city that's in rebellion, right? It's about a city that's under occupation. They've been under occupation for 3 years, and they are there are different rebellions happening. So there's like the students who want to rebel, and there is the working class, and there are the landowners, and so they all are fomenting their own kind of idea of rebellion, but not building the solidarity they need amongst each other to actually form like a formidable group. But so you're moving around the city to get a big picture. And you know, I really care about character. Like, I'm really invested in having characters. That's how I find my way into a story. So I was worried that if I only get to spend one chapter with a character and don't come back to them, that I wouldn't get in. But somehow Tchaikovsky manages, like in that one chapter, to like make you really invested in everything this character is about. But then you find a new character and you're invested in them. Like, it's really, really skillfully done. But it's got like over a dozen points of view.
Wow.
You're just jumping around.
I do have that. But I haven't got the first book. I haven't got the others yet, but I have got
all 3 of them are great. All 3 of them are really good. It's interesting what he does. The first one, like I said, is really broad, right? It's looking at the whole city. It's like a very fisheye lens, or satellite view. And then the second one, you're behind the enemy camp at a battle, following just a small group of medics who are army medics, basically. So it goes from this really big view to like a smaller view. And then the third book, you're following 2 characters only, and they're ambassadors, or they are they're ambassadors behind enemy lines. So the books get smaller in view or perspective, yet as you do that, the world building gets bigger and bigger and bigger, because they each take place on different continents and things like this. So he manages to somehow like zoom in and zoom out at the same time.
Huh.
That's awesome, isn't it?
Yeah. He's incredible.
He's so good.
So to circle back, the reason I was asked about Cage of Souls because Gareth was gonna buddy read that with me, and he made me buy the book over 2 years ago, and it's still sitting over there. So I'm gonna have to cut him loose and move on to a new buddy read pal.
Yeah, well, let me know. I mean, I will say when I do buddy reads, I mean, part of the reason I read so much is buddy reading. If I have a buddy read schedule, then I'll just read whatever I'm reading for the buddy read and then put it aside and pick up something else. So when I buddy read, I read books slower. You know, I have a few books that I'll buddy read with people, and it goes much slower.
That's the problem. I'm really sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say when I'm left to my own devices, then I just rip through books.
Yeah.
But when I'm buddy reading, then I have like 4 or 5 books that go at the same time, though. That's the problem sometimes.
Yeah. That's the problem. I'm really slow, so I don't read as fast as Gareth does. So.
Well, yeah, but I don't read as fast as Lexington does.
Yeah.
My first ever buddy read was with Ollie.
Yeah.
You know where this is going to go.
Yeah.
So it was. I can't remember what it was. What was we reading? I can't remember what it was, but it was really funny because literally I contacted him to say, "Okay, so how are we gonna do it?" And he went, "Well, I read it." Okay, cool. Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
That's all. I think he read it in about 2 minutes.
Yeah.
I think he just smells it and it comes off.
Yeah. It's like he read it while he was brushing his teeth the day you decided.
He's got like a full-time job and a family and all that, and yet he reads so voraciously. I get like because there are other people that haven't got like a family and job and stuff that read a lot, and that's different. He does it, and he hasn't got as much time, but he does say he doesn't do anything else. So that's so it's his job, and so he's got every evening probably, you know. But it's still impressive. Still like wow. Yeah.
I mean, I will say like the more I've been reading, especially being on BookTube the last couple of years, both as a viewer and then as a creator. Reading has been like it's taken over all of my hobbies. So like the TV and movies that I used to watch, like I haven't watched, you know, a TV series in years, you know, like Andor season 2, I really want to watch. And I just don't know when I'm going to find time to.
Find time.
Find time.
I mean, season 1 was phenomenal, right? Season 1, I really, really loved. So I want to watch season 2. But
screw the buddy reads. Screw it. Watch Andor season 2. Screw Bob.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Andor.
Okay.
It's the best Star Wars series yet.
Yeah. And it is literally watching a revolution happening or a revolt. Or it's so well written. And
you get close. I mean, after number 2 is that season 2. That's it. So
he's done. Yeah. Okay. I mean, it's on the queue. I used to like I will say that, you know, watching TV shows, hypothetically, I should be spending my time doing something more constructive, right? That's part of this concept. And the nice thing about TV shows or movies is that there are set times. So I know that, okay, I have an hour. I'm going to like watch one TV show and that's it. I have this 1 hour break and then I'll go do what else. But then once you start reading, you're like, well, one more chapter. So like books end up like being much more of a time suck. And you think that like, for me, books are easier because you're like, oh, I can just read for 5 minutes and put it down. Whereas I can't watch a TV show for 5 minutes. Right. So you think that books would be like less of a dedication, but then all of a sudden it's like 4 a.m. and you're like reading, you're like just one more chapter. Yeah. So they're a little more insidious. Yeah.
And also if you do end up reading like 15 minutes at a go, you're not really delving properly. It's like having going to sleep but not having REM sleep, isn't it? It's like
exactly.
You're just having a little piecemeal bit. So you have to do at least an hour, really.
Just keep. Yeah, exactly. Well then. Okay, so I'll prioritize Andor season 2. Let's put that. I'll put that above something else. Good. I don't know what, but something.
I know what you're saying, and that was the same thing happened to me for some time there. I was always prioritizing the books and wasn't doing anything else. And then I realized that I was just. I mean, I said, you know, this is another art form with some quality stuff as well, and it doesn't all have to be books. I'm missing out on some of this stuff, and so I am trying to devote more time to movies and shows now. So I've actually just started to incorporate into the channel a little bit. I've started to talk about that stuff a little bit too, because it
gives you an excuse.
I
know that guilty about it, right?
That too.
I like talking about different things on the channel. You know, it's nice to just talk about whatever you want.
books or
Yeah.
songs or other magic.
or other magic.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I always say there's no rules on the internet, so you do whatever you want.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right?
My latest Twilight Zone came out today.
Yeah, I just saw that. I didn't get to watch it yet, but
Episode 20.
Yeah, I've been enjoying those.
Oh, thanks.
yeah, those are good. Those are good.
It was very exciting when I started doing it, and then as I was doing it, obviously there's a certain way I did it. So I did a little narration on each episode and talked about each episode, and there was like a style to it. And then when I got to the end, because I filmed them a while back, I was a little bit sad because I was thinking, I really enjoyed doing that.
Huh.
It's like I can't. It's not the same doing the 80s series because I could do the 80s series, but they're not. It's not as good. The series isn't as good. So
Yeah.
it's just different, isn't it?
Yeah. And it's also, I mean, the 18 series also is more repetitive. Like Twilight Zone. Every episode is a whole different idea. Where 18, you're like, okay, they're gonna break him out. They're gonna save someone.
Oh no, sorry, no, the 80s.
80s.
Yeah,
I thought you said A-Team, and I was like, A-Team is wildly different than
Also-
Twilight Zone.
Also
I
a
do like
quality,
it,
also a quality show in its own right.
Yeah, I do like that. Yeah, but that is hilariously repetitive. Yeah.
I was like, I don't know how deep dive you're gonna go in the A-Team. Seems like
I love that. But I love the fact you were like, yeah, I can see that. Yeah, and I'd randomly mention the 80s.
Look, Lecter tries to find deep meaning in every
Yeah,
story.
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't always succeed, but I try. I do try, but sometimes you're like, okay.
Yeah. Hannibal at the beginning does all these disguises, doesn't he? And then one day he disguises himself as dialectical materialism,
The first time I saw A-Team was actually in India, of all places.
Was it really?
really?
Yeah, well, when I first came to India, it was in 2005. As a college student, I did like 6 months here studying abroad, and it was one of the shows that like played on English language TV in India was the A-Team. And so like after my afternoon class, I'd come home and it was in time to watch the A-Team every day. So I watched. That's when I started watching the A-Team was in India.
It's a nice way to switch your brain off. To be fair,
Yeah.
it definitely has a place.
It doesn't expect a whole lot from you as a viewer.
No, it doesn't.
It's just, you don't have to bring your A game to watch the A-Team.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
God. All right, so Heidi loves the PKD books she's read so far, but there are many more.
He's pretty prolific, right?
Yeah, he wrote a lot. Yeah.
Who's doing it? Yeah, go ahead, like.
I was gonna say a lot of these older writers like surprise me when you look at their back catalog and they just wrote a book like every couple months. They just popped out something new. You look at there's like 100 books you have to read from them. You don't have to, but I mean, you look at their catalog and it's just huge.
Yeah.
So many writers these days aren't doing that. There's something about writing that was a lot different.
Or when they do, they get criticized for it. Adrian Tchaikovsky, sometimes hear people go, well, it can't be very good then. And you just think, well, how about you read it first before you...
Yeah. I'm determined to catch up with him, though. Determined to catch up eventually. Yeah. I mean, he's only putting out like 3 a year. I mean, we can catch up.
Fine.
You can catch up.
Perfectly fine.
When I was reading a little Silverberg. This was a while back. I just did a little bit of reading up on him, and he had some of these. I mean, now granted, those science fiction novels, that was in the day where they were 200 pages a piece. But
that's true.
He would pop one out in a few weeks. Sometimes he would just.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now they weren't all great, but Yeah.
Yeah.
This is it was a 2-week book, so
Yeah.
you get what you pay for with a 2-week book. Yeah, it is true. A lot of them were a lot shorter. You look at a lot of these old sci-fi books, and they're like less than 300 pages, so it kind of makes sense that they could write more of them.
And if they're kind of pulpy, fun, kind of fluffy things, then there's probably a bit of a pattern that the authors get used to writing as well.
Yeah.
So it kind of easy for them to write it, isn't it?
For better or worse.
Yeah, exactly.
Harder to sell these days, I guess. Finding meaning in all books. Could you do that with toilet humor?
Well, a lot of the books I read have toilet humor, so I'm sure you find a way.
Oh, that was like from earlier in the chat when we were talking about it being so serious, I think.
Yeah. Dave, did you feel like Earth Abides was like a long anthropology thesis, social science, and hard geological science? Well, definitely social science. I don't know. I mean, geological science. I guess it reminded me a lot. When I read it, I kept thinking of many years ago. I read a book called nonfiction book called The World Without Us, and it was what happens. I don't know if you guys ever heard of that book, but it's about how if all humanity just disappeared tomorrow, what would happen without people to maintain structures and systems and everything? What would happen to the world, and how quickly would nature reclaim things? Spoiler: very, very quickly, right? And it wouldn't take all that long before virtually all traces of human civilization were obliterated, And anyway, I did think of that a lot when I was reading that book, because that was one of the main characters' main struggles, was trying to, convince the new generations to keep up with like basic maintenance and things, and things just would get lost. That is the coolest T-shirt. Well, thank you, Jenny. I love dystopian, especially lesser known ones. So, do you read many dystopian novels like them?
Oh yeah, a lot.
Like do you read much apocalyptic stuff?
Like, well, post-apocalyptic, a lot of it. Yeah.
Like,
because then you really get to see, that's when you put people in their high stress situation. So it's much more interesting, exciting, right? When you strip people of all the things they're used to and strip them of everything comfortable, then what's left is always interesting to see.
Yeah.
But it's also interesting to see different writers' like idea of what a post-apocalyptic or dystopian future is going to look like. I guess post-apocalyptic and dystopian are different. Dystopian is post-apocalyptic is usually dystopian, but dystopian doesn't have to be post-apocalyptic. Right. It could just be current day events to be dystopian, to be quite honest. So,
well, that's a whole other show, Lecton.
Oh, sorry.
We could do that show.
Well, in dystopia, it's usually government-led, isn't it? Whereas post-apocalyptic is often a natural disaster or a nuclear war or something that's not specific rules in a government that have created a particular society. That's usually a difference in it.
But no, I do. I read a lot.
What would you say are like one of your favorites of the post-apocalyptic?
Post-apocalyptic. Let's see. Put me on the spot. To be honest, I can't think of anything off the top of my head. I'm sure if you name things, I'll be like, oh yeah, that's great. But
I wasn't asking for Lexington, but I do think Death of Grass is amazing.
That is amazing.
Death of Grass.
Death of Grass, or No Blade of Grass, depending where you are.
In India, it might be English version.
Usually, a lot of the stuff we get here, if I'm buying it from a shop, it's going to be the British version. Or it'll be a lot of my books that I get are printed only for the Indian subcontinent, but they're the British versions. But they're specially printed just for India when I buy books here. Or they're imported, but a little of both.
I don't remember which title is the British one. Death of Grass, right?
Death of Grass is
The Brits always have the better titles. They always make them crappier when they bring it to the US. I don't know why.
Well, he was British, wasn't he? So it's if it's a Harlan Ellison book, he's American. So clearly, the American title is the title that he came up with, and with John Christopher, it'll be the English title that he came up with, isn't it?
Yeah. Although, from what I remember, his actual name was not very British. Right?
John Christopher.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
That's not his real name. His real name is I don't know. What's with a Y, I think, or it's not your typical.
Okay.
The Brits do avoid those Y's. Very dangerous letter. A little too rebellious for British blood. Can't have any Y's.
So, how do you like Mockingbird? It's a hidden gem. You guys haven't read that, right?
No, I need to. I will do soon, I think.
Nice, but I do miss Chipmunk Gareth. I don't.
Yeah, it's starting to hurt your ears, doesn't it?
It was hurting my ears for a while there, yeah. But you sound great now. Hey, Jack's here. Hey, Jack.
Hi, Jack. Can I just say, as Alexis from India, one of my favorite programs is Race Around the World. I absolutely love it. And the latest series, they've been in India a lot. So they went through Japan and China and a bunch of different places, but they've spent quite a long time in India. And it's really interesting, the contrast between the big, crazy cities where it's just like millions of people, and then these like amazing kind of more reflective spiritual places in India that they actually loved as well.
Mm.
Mm.
You know, it's just
Yeah,
such
we're not a
contrast.
reflective spiritual place here. It's
Well,
know,
your temple.
well, I mean, my monastery has about 5,000 monks, so it's not a temple. It's like a town, right? It's a small town, and about one square kilometer, and it's in a very rural area of southern India. But then you move outside of it, and everything's just wild all the time. Like India, you know, there's some reflective places, but it's also just like too many people in too small of a place, no matter where you are, even in the small, you know,
Right,
agrarian
right.
places. So when you get to Bangalore, like I said, I go to Bangalore a couple times a month. So Bangalore is a big city. It's where internet. It's one of like the 7 biggest cities in India. You know, it's a big tech city, big IT center, and there's an international airport. It's one of the big hubs in India. Driving through Bangalore, like the Dharma, the center, the temple I teach at, some of my students come, and it takes them over 2 hours to get from one part of Bangalore to where the temple is, because Bangalore infrastructure is so bad, and there's so many people that it's just like wild all the time, you know? So you just get used to having these two things side by side, where you can be a couple hours away and you have like wild animals and forest, and then you go to the city and it's just like wall to wall people, you know, nonstop. And you have to try to find that balance.
And wild animals in the streets as well.
Yeah.
In the busy
All those
streets.
monkeys.
Yeah. A lot of cattle as well. I noticed in the series.
Yeah, there's a lot of cattle in the streets quite often. Yeah. They just kind of go wherever they want. Even here at the monastery, you know, we're surrounded by farmers on all sides. So we have cattle and goats just wandering the monastery and crapping everywhere. Like everywhere you go, there's this cow poop all over the road. Everywhere. And, you know, they're not going to clean it up, because why would they? You know, they don't live here. They just
they don't see that.
So Jenny is very impressed with your discipline, getting up at 3:30. So what you usually get up at what, 4 or 4:30, right?
Ideally I should be up at 4:30. I have a lot of things to get done in the morning, you know, before I have to start attending to monastery things. So, you know, try to get some exercise in, some meditation in, some practice in, some reading in, all these things. Try to get up at 4:30. But as I get older and older, the time, it keeps, you know, moving back a little bit. The problem is we don't have a consistent schedule here. So we have morning prayers at 5:30, but they're not every day. And you don't find out about prayers usually until like the day before, if they're happening, because they don't happen. The monastery-wide prayers don't happen all the time. And so you find out a day or two ahead of time. So if you're used to if you want to be very regimented on a schedule, you can't here. You have to like be willing to go with the flow. And that doesn't always work for me. So, but so I used to get up at 4:30 every day, and then we'll see. It kind of, as I've gotten older and I need a little more sleep. I was saying to Dave earlier before we started the live stream that, you know, I've been in India now for 13 years. I came here after grad school, and I sometimes forget that I've been here so long and how much you age in 13 years. You know, when I came here, I was like a whippersnapper, and I didn't need as much sleep. I was going on 4 hours of sleep for like years, and it was perfectly fine. And now I'm like, whew, you know, it's rough. There's a lot of recovery if you do 4 hours of sleep, you know? So
I can't imagine being as old as you, Lecton.
I know.
Thanks for getting up so early for us.
I'm happy to be here. Hey, I will say, I appreciate that. Most of the people most of my friends are, you know, a little bit older than me, but at 41, I'm the oldest monk in my class. And I was talking to, you know, it's like I said, it's a 25-year program. So you tend not to start it when you're already 30, but that's what I did, for better or worse. And I was in class with my teacher the other day, and my teacher likes to pick on me. He's the current abbot of a nearby monastery, and we have class a couple times a week. He'll call me just to do private class, one-on-one. And he was like, "How old are you again?" And I was like, "I'm 41, Genla." And he's like, "Oh, you're 41." He's like, "So when you become Geshe," so Geshe is the degree we're studying for. He's like, "So when you become Geshe, how old are you going to be?" And I was like, minimum 50, probably a little older, because, you know, when you get your degree can change. Like there's some variables at the end. I was like, minimum 50, a little older. He's like, "Oh, when I got my degree, I was 28. And I'm like, that's great. I was 27 when I started. So he's like, "Oh, you're going to be really old, aren't you?" And I was like, I am going to be really old. Thanks.
What, he started when he was like 5?
I mean, they start when they're teenagers, right? They start when they're teenagers.
Wow.
I mean, a lot of my classmates. So here at the monastery, like I said, it is quite big. We have a full school. So from grades 1 to 10, that's the normal for India, for Indian government standard, is they get through grade 10. And then if they go on to college, they have +1 and +2. But we have a government regulated school. It's taught by monks. Everything's in Tibetan, but they get their they get a certificate from the government. And so a lot of the monks will go through that. And then once they finish grade 10, then they join the philosophy program. So a lot of my classmates, when I started, were like 17 years old, you know? So quite a lot of them are young.
I like the fact that when I'm trying to talk to my students about possibly doing a university degree in music, you know, it's a commitment though. It's 3 years.
He's gonna be
25 years.
He's gonna be using you, Lecton.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? You need to study guitar for 25 years.
My friend Lecton committed 25 years.
Yeah.
So
it's okay though. It is a lot. I'm not gonna lie. Well, it's funny, you know. So the degree we're studying for, there are a number of monasteries that give you this degree, quote unquote. It's called the Geshe degree, or it's really a title. It's not a degree. And there are 6 major monasteries that are known for it in my lineage, and we all study the same material, like the same root material, but we have different. You know, every monastery has their own study program that's slightly different, and ours is the longest. So the base study is 19 years, and the shortest one, I think they only do for 12 years or 13 when the other monasteries. So the joke is the Sarah J monks say, well, obviously we're the smartest because we study it longest, you know, like we take our time with it. And everyone else says, obviously Sarah J is the dumbest because it takes you so long to get through this material. So it's all about perspective, right? That's how you look at it.
How you gonna spin it? Yeah. Nice.
That's funny. Recently learned that China is all one time zone, which is why it's so dark at 10 a.m. in the
same in India. India is all one time zone. All of India is huge, and it's all one time zone. I mean, it's not quite as big geographically as China, probably, but all one time zone.
That is surprising.
It is easier though. That's for sure.
Yeah. Hey, Ice! Happy Thursday, everyone.
Or Friday for some of us.
Yeah.
It's Friday for me now too.
There you go. See.
Okay, so this is when we asked William about his new position, wildlife surveyor at a reforestation area. Oh, that sounds awesome.
Yeah, that does sound great.
But no longer a librarian. That's a tough switch.
He's going to get much dirtier hands, isn't he?
Yeah. But that sounds cool, man. Congratulations.
Much more of a physical job.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Stocking shelves take a lot out of you.
I worked in the bookshop for 6 years, and yeah, actually that is true.
Hi, Jim.
Hi, Jim.
Do you know Jim from Mystery
Yeah,
Man?
I do. Yeah. I was actually thinking of him. I'm listening to an audiobook right now, and it's a mystery book, and the narrator just sounds like he's imitating Jim.
Yeah.
It's very amusing.
I keep telling him he's got to go into radio.
Yeah.
The funny thing about this book, though, is that the character, you find out like about halfway through that he's only 32, and I'm like, the audiobook is really well done, and there are a few different characters, and he differentiates between the voice as well. But then when you find out the main character is supposed to be 32, you're like, okay, you are not in the right register for a 32-year-old. I'm like picturing a grizzled 55-year-old.
Yeah, right.
And,
although Jim's probably 32, isn't he?
Yeah, could be. So, you know.
Dwayne's Dream is my favorite read this year. Oh, okay.
That's interesting. Someone recently, was it, I think it was Ben from Grammaticus Book, said that he thought Durandal's Dream was awful. Which is interesting, isn't it? Because I think it's really good. It's one of the first books I read as well. But yeah, he said it was terrible.
That is interesting. Jack being Jack. I'm surprised he's reading that for the first time. Right?
It's also sometimes interesting when you read older books and you have to try to understand the context, where like something like Do Android's Dream, that idea has since been done in different ways since then, numerous times, right? So reading that, you forget that it was a much different like landscape when that came out, you know? So sometimes when you read classic sci-fi, even, you have to be like, well, this was one of the first ones to ever do this, at least, you know, in a big way. And so you have to readjust your reading.
I've thought of that when I was watching someone on BookTube review The Invisible Man by H.G. Wells, and they were being like crazy harsh on it, saying, "Oh, not a lot happened." And I was just thinking, yeah, but it was quite fresh and different for him to write what he did write, and yeah, like you say, things for that kind of plot, things have done that since and made it more horrific or more chilling or more, you know, done more with the invisible nature of it. But you got to take it. You got to think about the context, I think, and you know, be impressed with what he did. You know, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, which doesn't mean you have to like enjoy it. You could just be like, well, this isn't my favorite version of this, but you can still have a little respect for the idea that like when this came out, what it was doing was a lot different than everything else.
Oh,
you know?
and I definitely absolutely agree that just because someone did it first, it doesn't mean they did it best.
Yeah.
I did not love that book, but I did think I was very impressed with like kind of, I mean, this is late 1800s and like his attempts to get into the physics of how the invisibility was happening, I thought was pretty impressive, you know?
Yeah. Have you guys seen the new film for Invisible Man? Came out a couple of years ago.
No, I haven't seen that yet. Is it? Again, that'll be like more of a horror film, wouldn't it?
It's a little bit more of a horror film. I think it's actually really good. You know, it takes a different idea of the Invisible Man being technologically based. Like it's all a tech suit that he develops, but it has to do with control and it has to do with domination and ownership, basically, of his wife. Yeah, it's actually really good. It's really, really smart.
It's nothing like
the
book, though.
Yeah, don't expect the book, but it's an interesting the concept. You know, it takes the concept and goes.
It was good. It was good, and it was scarier than the book, in my opinion. But
the book is the original book is not scary at all.
Yeah, it's supposed to be though.
Yeah, but I think it would have been scary in the late 1800s. That's the
yeah, I guess.
Do you know what I mean?
That's true. Like I love doing theater in my youth. What aspect were you most into?
Yeah, so my undergraduate degree, I have a degree in theater and religion, and so for theater, I was a techie, and so I started with performance, but then I quickly realized I'd much rather be wearing black behind the scenes, and so I did all aspect of professional technical theater. As far as artistically, I did lighting design. I did a lot of lighting design. So if I were to continue in that in an artistic way, I would do lighting design, especially lighting design for dance. I really enjoyed. But everything else I did. And actually, after I graduated undergraduate, I was working full time as a theater technician at my school. And I convinced them to create a position for me, to hire me for a year. So right after undergraduate, I worked for a year full time as the assistant to the master electrician at my school. We created a position for me. So I did everything. But behind the scenes, stage managing and lighting design are my two preferred roles.
That's cool.
It's funny because like if you study technical theater, especially stage managing, but technical theater in general, like it gives you life skills that you can use for everything else you do. And then when I did my graduate work, so my graduate degree is a Master's of Divinity in Buddhist ministry, and you have to do internships, right, as part of that. And I was interning at Brigham and Women's Hospital as a chaplain in Boston. And when I was in the interview, she was asking like what my life skills were to make me a good chaplain. And all that I was talking about was what I learned as a theater techie. And she's like, what about that religion degree you have? Does that help? And I was like, yeah, not really. Technical theater teaches you all you need.
No, but you're right. That you do get all these different things from these studies that you do that you don't necessarily notice, or it doesn't get advertised like that.
Yeah.
I've taught performing arts, so that'd be like theatre twice while I've been at college. So last year I did it, and it was really nice because I did a unit on Beckett, and they did Waiting for Godot. We did like various different ways of interpreting it, and different ways of doing the scenes.
That's really cool. Yeah, I was actually just talking to Alex from Alex on the Bridge the other day. He did a lot of theater. It's very similar to me. He was a little more intense than I was, but because I'm reading some plays right now, and I'm having a hard time. So Clive Barker, I'm reading these 3 plays by Clive Barker. This is a collection of 3 plays called Incarnations. And the plays were written, one in 1980, 82, and 84. And they were written to be performed. So they weren't written like as literature. They're like literally performed by a theater company he was part of. I'm just having a hard time on getting into them, like visualizing. Like I can visualize the set. He gives very clear like what the set should look like, these things. So I can visualize the play, but then like having an emotional experience is really hard. Just the way it's written, like I can't get into it. And so we were talking about like I don't have the director eye to like read a play and know it right away what it should look like. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's interesting that you bring students through that. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Usually most plays have got quite scant directions. I mean, Waiting for Godot has got hardly any directions. But yeah.
But also Waiting for Godot is like it's so self-contained that like you can get an emotional experience from it almost regardless of how it's staged, right? Because it's in the text itself, right?
Yeah.
Whereas like these are more like Ionesco than anything else. And like I remember reading Ionesco and you're just like, I have no freaking clue what's going on. And like, what is the point of any of this? You know,
Yeah.
with any of the theater of the absurd, all these things, you're just like, there's something about the experience of attending a play and being in the visual and like sensory experience of it. There's a lot different than reading it sometimes.
And I think you have to know where the director's coming, where the writer's coming from, where the playwright's coming from, to know why he wrote it, if you like.
Yeah.
Because I had a lot of I went over a bit of a barrier with my students once I said that Beckett was a big fan of comedy, and especially Laurel and Hardy and stuff like that, and then just read it like a comedy, and they were like, oh, okay, and then they read it again, and it made a lot more sense to them, you know. So yeah, it's funny.
I remember first meeting you on one of your live streams. Okay. Me too. She loved Martian Time Slip and Flow My Tears.
Yeah, Flow My Tears is good. I haven't read Martian Time Slip yet.
So Diane watches a lot on this big screen. It's awesome because you can multitask.
You know, it's funny being here in India so much, being in a community where I can't make a lot of noise. Everything I listen to now, I listen to with headphones. Like everything, all my YouTube, all my music, anything is with headphones. And so then when I go anywhere where people like watching even TV and it's like playing out loud, I'm just like taken aback by like listening to things out loud. I'm just so used to. So like I went home, when I went home a couple of years ago, my mother just has the TV on all the time, and no matter where you are in the house, you can just hear it, and it's just like too much. Like it's just too much sensory overload. I'm just like, give me my headphones.
Yeah.
But then as a result of listening to everything with headphones, especially like YouTube comments and like not comments, YouTube videos and audiobooks, I'm used to listening to them a lot faster, because when you listen with earphones, you don't have to go at one speed. So like literally, I never watch YouTube at one speed. YouTube is always 2x. Unless I'm on my phone, then it's 2.5x.
Whoa.
But then you try to, and you just get used to it, like I slowly built it up. But then if you take out the headphones and you try to listen to it that way, like through speakers, it's insane and nothing makes sense. But in headphones, it works.
Wow. Oh, okay.
Huh.
That must be easier for some booktubers than others. Like some talk slower than others.
Yeah. That's true. I started with listening to podcasts.
Like me,
Wait, what?
If you've got a funny voice like mine, or Jenny's, if you're Jenny's Scottish accent, if you've got Jenny's, you'd be like, I can't do this in two times speed.
I gotta slow it down if I'm listening to Jenny.
I just know because of chat shows that Americans have a hard time with the Scottish accent. If they
Sometimes,
got a Scottish guest on there.
Yeah, I have a hard time with the fast. I mean, I'll do 1.25, often, but I can't really go much faster than that.
Well, I was listening to a lot of podcasts, and so I just get very used to it. And again, if you're listening to it in your ears, and I started with 1.2, and then you're like, well, maybe I could do 1.3, maybe 1.4, and so now my podcast I listen to at like 3.2.
Wow.
But podcasts are different. Podcasts, people like they speak so slowly, because it's like made for radio, and unless they have a really heavy accent, or unless they're not normal podcasters, but they're just talking like real people, then I can do pretty quick.
No.
But then again, once you take it out of your earphones, I can't do that. I have to do normal speed, because you listen to it in the air and it sounds just like insanity.
Yeah.
I will say part of it is debating here. So our main pedagogy at the monastery is debate, and we have classes that we attend and things like that, but the main pedagogy is debate. So you have some sort of philosophical point of view or whatever you're studying, and the person answering has to like hold their position, and the person debating, the whole point of debating is to try to get them to either contradict themselves or undermine their position in some way. So it's this very formalized way of studying. And the Tibetans, you just like fire off things like very, very quickly. And so when you're on the debate courtyard, like the way they recite and the way that they yell it in your face, because it's very physical. If you watch Tibetan monks, you would not think they're peaceful at all. Just search Tibetan debate. It is not a peaceful experience.
Okay.
It's not supposed to be. It's supposed to like be in your face to say like, you believe this thing, prove it, but it's very, very fast. So you get used to like things running off the mouth really quickly, So I just have gotten used to everything at warp speed.
That sounds pretty intense.
It can be. I'm a little more laid back than my classmates. I'm just like, I'm too old for this nonsense, guys. So.
Wow.
It's fun though.
Oh, okay. Heidi agreeing that some videos are evergreen. That's where we are behind. Live ship. Heidi loves live.
Oh, Kenneth. Oh no, Kenneth. I'm not a fan of Kenneth. He's a great character though.
Oh yeah.
Took William
3
3
months.
months to finish
Yeah.
the last book I read. Yeah, that can happen. Some reading IQ 84
Well, that's
Murakami.
huge.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
it is. It's a big one.
You guys read that?
Yeah, a couple years ago.
Yeah.
It's also like very heady. Like it's just very conceptual in many ways.
Do you like it?
I did, yeah. I want to read it again because I read it quite a few years ago, and I've read more Murakami since then. So I'd like to read it again. But I did enjoy it. Not everyone does. It's not like action packed, you know. And for a 1,000-page book that is very contemplative, and weird, it's hard for some people.
Mm-hmm.
But I enjoyed it though.
Mm-hmm. Lecton, do you have any restrictions? Like something you could get in trouble? Hope that makes sense. I mean,
Yeah, definitely.
What you can or cannot read, or the content for your YouTube channel.
Definitely. I mean, so as a fully ordained monk, I have 253 vows, and a lot of those vows have to do with not presenting myself in such a way as to cause people to, if they were to see me, to lose faith in the teachings of the Buddha, right? So how you carry yourself as a monk is quite important, because since you are representative of the teachings of the Buddha. So in the 21st century, you know, a lot of the things I might engage with weren't really discussed 2,500 years ago. So I don't have specific rules against a lot of the things, but it involved at least some circumspection, considering, you know, how am I, considering I'm representative of something, then I have to use my better judgment. But there's no restrictions about what I can or cannot read. Like I'm allowed, you know, as a monk, I can engage with any material I want, but then I have to be aware, like when I engage with this, is this helping my mind, or is this causing me to like be distracted? Is this causing like lust or anger or other like harmful ways of being? Is if it's inciting those in me, then maybe I shouldn't be reading it, you know, or engaging with that kind of material. But there's no like rules against it. And the same thing with like what I create on YouTube. There's no rules, quote unquote, but I have to be conscious of like what I'm doing. And I'm a teacher. So like, you know, I have students who look to me for like spiritual advice and leadership. And so I have to take that into consideration when I put myself out publicly, you know?
Same for me.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not a religious teacher, but I have the same considerations.
Yeah, I think a lot of us do. Yeah.
Yeah,
Balance in real life and YouTube.
Because I'm not an expert on your channel yet. I've only watched a few of the videos.
I'm not either. It's okay.
But it looked like I did see reviewing like quite a few books, and in the wrap ups, and it looked like you were pretty. It looked like it was you were pretty liberal in terms of the stuff that you were reading and talking about. That didn't really, that did strike me, because I kind of had the same question. You know what I mean? Because I don't know that much about, you know, about your practice there at this point, and I was wondering about that, because you didn't seem to have really any. It didn't seem like you had restrictions in terms of what you were talking about.
Yeah. So, I mean, I read a lot of transgressive and dark fiction in general. And so the content that gets covered can be quite extreme. From my side, since I've been reading it so long, I appreciate it. And I don't think it like overwhelms my, my practice or my sense of, you know, well-being like that. I think one of the things I talk about when I teach a lot is that you need to find a way to integrate whatever you're doing into whatever your spiritual practices into your everyday life. And so pop culture is part of that. And so these are the things that I've been reading since I was a young, since I was a young kid. So I still enjoy reading them, and I just have to find a way to make them useful to me, like I was saying before. So if it's not exciting you in like certain ways that are inappropriate for a monk, then it's okay. Like I think transgressive fiction is like really useful. I think genre fiction in general is really useful, right? Because you look at the extremes in some ways. You don't have to worry about reality, so you can look at like the emotional experience in a really meaningful way. And then if you have to like get through some sex and violence to get to that emotional experience, then, you know, that's okay. So I think it's important to, especially as a Westerner who is studying, obviously I hold myself and what is expected of me, like that's most important, right? But it's not like this stuffy, like I have to live like an isolated existence. Like there's a way to incorporate your everyday pop culture lived reality with who you are as a person, as a spiritual person. So I like to combine those things.
Hmm.
I think one of my favorite examples, when I think my first time returning to the States after I had ordained, probably my first time or the second time, I was in my hometown and I was walking across the green to go to the library. My sister had someone had dropped me off and I was meeting someone at the library. So I was walking across like the public commons and these two big burly bikers covered in leather and tattoos stopped me in the middle of the green. And you guys can't see, but I have visible tattoos. Like I have a back piece. My whole back is tattooed and you can see them just a little bit, like poking out the back of my robes. So I get stopped a lot because people can see tattoos and it's weird to see a tattooed monk. So these two huge burly bikers stop me and they go, "Hey, when did you realize that everything was bullshit?" But it was great. It was really great. And I had a really great conversation with these people that, I probably wouldn't have had any conversation with otherwise. And I think there's something about being who I am and the history I've come from and the life I've lived that like allows me to be accessible in ways that others aren't. And so that's a useful thing, right? Like I want to be accessible. And that part of that means like engaging in the things other people engage in, whether it be Andor or whether it be transgressive fiction or whatever it may be, trying to find a way that like not be so distant from other people that I'm not useful or not helpful. Right.
All right.
Well, I know you're going to be biased, but I do think that Buddhism's different to the other main religions. It's got a much more kind of holistic approach to life, and I think it's much more relatable. From an atheist point of view.
Yeah. I mean, Buddhism is an atheist religion, so.
Yeah.
I don't know. I agree. Obviously, it works for me. It works for me. But I also, a very good friend of mine.
After 25 years.
Yeah. Right. I had a very good friend. He passed away last year, but he was a bishop in the Celtic Orthodox Church, and I met him at Harvard at grad school. He was teaching there, and so he wasn't Buddhist, but I've met I've met a couple Christian leaders and teachers who are phenomenal. And I think it really just matters what you do with whatever practice it is that you are engaging, obviously Buddhism works for me, but I've met other people who the way they approach their spiritual tradition or whether it's a humanist or, a humanist or an atheist tradition or a specific like religious or spiritual path, the way they approach that can be quite all encompassing or it can be limiting. And so it's more about like how you choose to engage in that, right? Are you using this to like shut you down from the world and like limit you, or are you using this as a way to open you up? And that's what's more important. It doesn't really matter the path you're on. It matters how you're using it to connect to others and to be of service to others and to, be a participant in the world.
This is a whole big conversation, but I have been shocked in my life the amount of sort of fundamentalist Christians that have been close friends and a band member as well, who have kind of given me the impression that those people and the people that were in their church or whatever were incredibly isolated from the rest of the world and were removed from the rest of the world and didn't think about the rest of the world and were like, it was just really odd, when it kept getting reaffirmed that they weren't like connected, in a way that really they should be if they were trying to make the world a better place,
It seems that way sometimes.
That's what I've found with the people I knew.
Yeah. It does seem that way, but what to do. I can't take. Yeah.
It's a funny old world, isn't it?
Oh.
People are funny.
Yeah. We have an olive emergency. What's going on?
Yeah, sorry. I'll be right back. We got a water ball spilled on a computer.
Oh no.
If we all disappear, we know why.
Wait.
Olive was not approving of our religious discourse. I think that means we have to. She says, enough of this. Get back to the books.
Yeah. Less God, more dog. So, are you? So you're not? Are you doing Rocket Summer? Are you doing Rocket Summer?
You know what? The last couple of months, I've realized that I like to be on the periphery of a lot of these events.
Yeah.
Like my queue, my TBR list is so big and it gets so overwhelming that I'll try to be intentional and read some sci-fi on purpose during Rocket Summer, but I'm not actively participating in it.
It's probably a really good way of doing it.
Yeah. And as long as I'm not asked to be a host of anything, then I can just kind of sneak in on the outsides, feel like I'm part of the community, but then not feel like it's overwhelming me, which is like sometimes I'll in the past year, I've been in some events where it just feels like it overwhelms my reading in a way that is not. It's fun at the time, but then afterwards I'm like, okay, I'm a little spent, you know. So right now I'm trying to balance. Finding the balance is hard.
Yeah.
And like
Well,
even now, you're commenting on how much I read. Like I read a lot, but I almost don't want to read as much as I read, which sounds silly, but like I'd rather read less. But then when I'm not reading, I feel bad that I'm not reading. I'm like, I could be reading right now. Does that make sense? Like, and not because of creating content. It's not even like I have to read more so I can create content. It's nothing to do with BookTube, really. It's just like
you got so much you want to read.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, there's so many books that are unread that are sitting there that I just should be reading right now.
Yeah.
And so when I participate in events, it interferes with that. So I'm still trying to find the balance.
Yeah. No, I think we're always trying to find a balance, and I can bounce off that from something that happened yesterday where I wanted to watch a film just because I want to watch more films. And 20 minutes into the film, I turned it off and started reading because I thought, well, I could be reading. So sometimes, I watched another one later, which was quite fun and a bit mad, but yeah, it's always
what was it?
Juggling everything. Well. It's an absolute gem for Garb August. It's called Mad. It's called Mad Heidi, and it was like a Scandinavian exploitation film. It's like really odd and funny, and yeah, it's just really bizarre. It was only made like last year, I think it was. So yeah, a Mad Heidi. I just found it. I thought, what the hell is this? And I saw the trailer. I thought, this sounds mental. But yeah, I watched something else and I just turned it off thinking, actually, I could read. So yeah, you're always, I don't know, it's not necessarily because something hasn't engaged you enough, but maybe you already thought you wanted to read, but then you start doing something else, and then you go back to, no, I really should. You kind of force yourself a bit. Yeah.
It's a weird situation. I mean, BookTube doesn't help it, definitely. There's always like a little bit of pressure, or like not to create content, but just to like when you see what other people are reading and how much they read and how widely they read, you're just like, well, I could be doing that. So there is that pressure, but in general, it's just like, I don't know. It feels the balance is hard to strike.
I've got something else that I'm trying to balance because for last Christmas I asked for a CD player because I realized
a CD player.
Yeah, I've got thousands of CDs and I realized I didn't have any way of playing them. And I was like, well, that's ridiculous. And I've got about 12 major CDs, as in like some of my favorite artists I haven't heard yet because I bought them to keep up with them. And I was like, I didn't heard them, So, and you might play bits of it on Spotify, but I don't like doing that. So I've still got most of those albums I need to listen to. So I need to find time to actually get the CDs out and put them on the CD player. So that's a music thing, that's not, but it is like, an hour or whatever. And it's something that I used to love doing. So it's not even, it's just going back to the habit,
Yeah. When I listen to music, I prefer to listen to albums in general, so the whole like Spotify playlist thing doesn't work for me. I like to listen to whole albums. So I agree. But I don't have CDs. It's all digital now.
Right. It's like how it's been sequenced as well is important, I mean, that's not.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I tend to,
Mm-hmm.
my brother still listens to vinyl. So whenever there's a band I like that releases an album, I'll buy the vinyl and just have it at my brother's house so he can just have it there eventually. And then I'll listen to the, to the digital here because I don't have any other easy way to do it. So he gets a lot of random albums. He's like, oh, okay, I guess this is another one. He's like, I'm never going to listen to this. And I'm like, okay, it's fine. You could just keep it there.
Yeah. but obviously everything's digital now, but as a band, we're about to release another album soon. And we all said ourselves out loud that if we didn't make a physical CD, it wouldn't feel like we'd made an album.
Yeah, I bet.
So it's funny because there will be loads of people that we'll take them to the gigs and they'll go, well, I haven't got any way of playing it, Although some people buy one anyway. Some people go, I can't play it, but I'm going to buy it to support you. So some people do that. But
all right, we got crisis over. We got to catch up. We're way behind here. Okay. So William read a 5.
We'll do some speed runs.
So William read a 5-book fantasy series. Jenny says embrace it. She's at 157 open series. Like
better person than me. I don't have enough headspace for that. That's too much.
No.
About Murakami. In the past, I finished 8-volume sci-fi series, and the author rewrote the whole series in a recast. Wow, which one was that, William?
Huh.
Margaret's here.
Margaret's
Hello.
here.
Hey, Margaret. Sure, from someone using foment in a sentence. Who did that?
Oh.
Must have been Lecton. I don't know.
Us.
That's not a word I use. What are you saying? Hi, hi. Oh, Greg's here. Hey, Greg.
Hi, Greg.
Not doing great, but doing my best. Oh, sorry about that, Margaret.
Hmm.
Yes to Andor season 2. Diane's a fan. Drop everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm hearing it.
Oh my God, Lecton, I couldn't stop watching it.
Really? Did you
Season
binge the
2.
whole thing?
I mean,
once?
not in one night, but
Oh.
over the course of a week.
Okay.
Yeah, it was.
Okay. I'll find time.
Give me the ATM.
Yeah.
Right? You'd figure they'd figure out a better system than having to break him out every single episode, right? If all of you
That's kind of part of the fun of it, wasn't it?
Yeah, of course. These live stream chats won't be possible anymore. That's true. If any of us ever get that big, so we just can't get that big, I guess.
Luckily, we're not.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I've watched some live streams from different, not BookTube, but other channels that have, thousands of viewers or subscribers. And when you have like 500 people in a chat, I don't even understand what the point of the chat is. Like, it's just like a constant, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I don't understand what the point of it is.
Yeah, it's very different.
Yeah.
Even the ones that have got like, I don't know, 30,000 or something, which, they're not going to have, they might only have like 150 people in the chat or something like that. But
even then,
it's a very different thing. Very different than this. Yeah. And they skip loads of comments. They'll just look at which comment they like and they'll talk about it.
If they even look at the comment. A lot of time the comments aren't for the people making the live stream. They're just for the people in the chat room, because when there's that many, how can you keep up?
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, Gareth, are you a little too quiet?
So you learned
that was I think I did move my microphone at the beginning, so that I think I've helped now, I think.
Well, you learn something every day. And Constance said that, and I'm like, I can't adjust his volume. And then I clicked on a little thing here. I actually can adjust your volume. I did not know this.
What?
Yeah. So I just pumped your volume up. So everybody tell me if he's now too loud.
Okay, so I'm going to talk as I was. Is that now louder?
To me,
we'll find out in an hour. We'll find out.
Right.
Yeah.
To me, you sound the same, but
yeah, it sounds the same to me. So who knows?
he is quieter.
He is quiet. Yeah. So hopefully, when I moved my mic, I didn't notice straight away, and it was like right at the back of the table. So I moved it closer. Hopefully, that helped.
Is that a vinyl album that Margaret's asking about?
No, a book, I think.
The book?
Yeah, the book. Yeah.
Maybe the series that we were talking about, right? That 8-volume series. No,
Could be Robin Hobb.
maybe. I'm not sure.
Yes.
Who
No,
knows?
it's actually a book by Alan Wiseman.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Can't remember the cover. I read that book after I watched the show Life After People, which did. Oh, you were asking about the World Without Us. Yes, it did have.
Yeah.
It did have. It did have a
That's right. There you go.
strip of green, right? And it was by Weissman. Yeah. This is why we can't get so far behind. I'm so bad. So bad at this.
It just creates like a circular, the whole experience is circular.
I truly believe, Lecton, that's part of the fun for them. Is watching us struggle to remember what they were talking about. Isn't that right, everybody? Yeah, that's right. There was a show too. Yep. Are you an Emily St. John Mandel fan then?
Mandel.
Oh yeah, I read Station 11, which was quite great.
Books.
I have another one. No,
what was it called? I can't remember what the other one was called.
Oh, the Glass House thing or something, or that one?
I think it
Glass
was the
Hotel?
one. It was another one. Did it begin with L? Was it in Madrid? I don't know, but yeah, I read Station 11.
The Sea of Tranquility, the Glass Hotel, Last Night in Montreal. Those are her other big ones. Besides Station 11.
See, I wasn't a huge fan of Station 11. I
Oh,
mean,
really?
I didn't hate it, but I know a lot of people love it and made into a show.
I thought it was good. I thought
Yeah,
the
I
show
think
was
so.
not as good. At least the ending of the show wasn't as good. I thought they changed it in a way that was not. They changed some of the character relationships, but I enjoyed it. It was a slower apocalypse. You know?
Yeah.
Like it was very under. It wasn't like I'm active in any way. It was very
Yeah.
slow. You know. I enjoyed it.
You liked it, Gareth, too?
But Lecter might have enjoyed the theater side of it.
That is true.
Yeah,
theater
that's true.
Though it's also watching someone die on stage is like one of my worst dreams as a theater techie.
Yeah.
having to have the technical person come out on stage while the lights are on. Come on now.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah. So, and I think I probably relate to some of that as well, because I have a bit of a background with that.
Gareth.
Yeah.
Did you start biscuits already?
Yeah. Yeah. I've had a terrible week, Dave. Leave me alone.
we can do biscuit. We can jump in biscuits now, so
We
we
can talk
can
about-
biscuit in
yeah.
solidarity.
All right,
How's
like,
that?
you got biscuits? Let's see
I
what
do.
you got.
I have some. You have to say India isn't known for its biscuits, right? Like India, we just adopted what we got from Britain, and mostly biscuits are designed to eat with tea, right? To dunk it in your tea.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they're very flavor. Like most of the biscuits you get, at least the Indian ones, are quite flavorless, and they also are mostly British brands that are just made here in India. So I was looking for interesting ones, and
Mostly flavorless, he said.
they really are. There's like general. It's like the same company. There's a company called Good Day, and they make a bunch of different biscuits, and like one's butter flavored, one's pistachio, one's cashew, one's something else, but they literally all taste the exact same, which is like mildly sweet and designed to be dunked in something. Like you couldn't taste the difference side by side. So I found these at our monastery. We have a couple stores. I've never had them before, but they are clearly imported from the Sultanate of Oman.
Ooh.
I have no clue what they're called because it's in Arabic, but they are date-filled cookies. So I'm hoping it's kind of like a Fig Newton situation, but I don't know if that's going to be the case.
It sounds promising.
Awesome.
So until we go, oh, it's soft, which you don't get many soft biscuits in India. They're usually crunchy.
Yeah, I
So
think
this is what
Americans have more soft biscuits than we do.
Yeah. It's good. It's It's not too sweet. Nice. It's very much like a Fig Newton, but a little crunchier.
Let's see the
Nice.
inside. Let's see the inside close up. Oh yeah. Yeah, it looks a
Nice.
lot like a Fig Newton.
Yeah, it's just a little drier than a Fig Newton, which is it would be nice if I still had coffee left. But it's okay. Get the job done.
Yeah.
Hmm.
That's awesome.
Yeah, not bad. It's not too sweet, which is nice.
Cool.
What about you?
Gareth, you're
Dave?
gonna be very excited. I did already have some, which is not usual for me, but I knew you'd want to see me eat them.
Yeah, custard creams. Wow. Oh my God, this is talking about biscuit royalty now.
I know. I have to say, somebody gave these to me. I can't remember who gave me these.
You'll make my day if you enjoyed the custard cream.
Yeah, no, these are good. I like them. Yeah.
Yeah. They're we call it Moorish.
Mm.
You keep wanting more.
Uh-huh.
Awesome. Yeah.
No, they're not quite as sweet as an Oreo, but they're good.
No.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They're just the right amount of sweet. And obviously, if you dunk them in your tea, which is like Lexon saying, we would dunk any biscuit into our tea, and obviously that's why the solubility thing is really important. How long do you dunk it in for? All that. That's a science in itself. But the custard creams, obviously, you dunk the custard cream, then you got hot custard. Hot custard's much better than cold custard.
I see.
It's tasty chicken recipe.
Oh, nice. You're having a bit of that as well.
Nope. But you love them, right? You love them. Let's
So
see.
I've got because I was trying to be good. I've got diabetic biscuits. So these are 45% less sugar, but they're really nice. They're toffee oat biscuits.
Mm.
And this company's really good. So it's not like sugar free. So when I say to Ali, "Oh, these are good. Let's get more of these," she says, "Yeah, but it's only 45% of whatever the sugar." So I get it. It's not like sugar free, but they are really nice and they're very sweet. You can taste the toffee flavor in them. So
Well, a lot of time, sugar-free biscuits or sugar-free food in general is sweeter than actual like real sugar. You know, because
Yeah.
whatever they're using to replace the sugar, it's just sweeter tasting.
Yeah, yeah.
And, like, you know, I've had a lot of like diabetic biscuits that like are too sweet, but it's
Yeah.
just a weird type of sweetness. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a company over here called Guion, I think they're called, or Guion. I'd pronounce it Guion. They're like a French thing, and there's a whole spectrum of oh, that's done really well. That tastes really good. It tastes a little bit like the legit one, and some of it's like, oh my god, that's horrendous. You know, there's one that they're trying to do like a plain biscuit, and it just tastes like paper. It's just horrible. It's like, I couldn't believe it. When I first got the Big D, we bought loads and loads of these sugar-free biscuits, and we had loads of them. And I had one. I was like, I can't eat that. And we had like all these packets of biscuits that were just going to be like, I was like, I'll go through them slowly, you know, just to, you know, it was just like painful to eat these biscuits. They were just like paper. They're called Maria biscuits. They're horrible. But yeah, these are good though. Nairns, so like,
you know, I have to say, I mean, going back to the question about what is appropriate for a monk or not, when someone says, when I got the Big D, this is what happened, that is not what I was thinking you were talking about. I was like,
I was aware of that.
when I got the Big D, I had some paper biscuits. What? Okay. Everyone celebrates differently. You know, different milestones, different people.
Yeah. Again, I'm a teacher as well. I know one of my students watches, he doesn't know, or at least he hasn't cottoned on that sometimes it's on your channel, Dave. So I don't think the student in my head is actually watching tonight. But yeah, I've got to be careful as a teacher not to make too many dodgy jokes, you know, and not to take my top off or, you know, go and get something when I'm wearing what I'm wearing.
So Sam Yude, that was John Christopher's name.
Sam Yude. Wow.
Oops. What do I do here?
So Margaret's doing Pat's job today.
Yeah. Ugh.
She's stepping.
Sorry, I lost. Oh, there we go. Margaret read her Station 11, then made the mistake of watching the series.
Yeah, see? The series, they changed some of the character relationships, especially with the antagonist. I don't remember exactly what they did, but they changed things around. I mean, obviously, it's like an art to take a text and translate it to a different format, right? To make a TV series or a movie. And you can't be 100% slavish to the original material. But sometimes you look at these and you're like, why did you change that? Of all the things you had to change, you know? I'm always... Not that I could do better. Like, that's not a thing I do. But you're like, why? Of all the things to change, like, why did you do that? Sometimes it's very...
Well, when it's dramatically different, you're like... You can imagine those people in a meeting going, this is really good. We need to adapt this. Yeah. But also, we could do it better.
Yeah, that's why...
Like, what?
Well, that's why sometimes, you know, like, for instance... I think I was talking about on your live stream, Mike Flanagan just did Life of Chuck, right? And that is in theaters right now. He made that independently. Because he was like, no one's going to finance this. And I'm going to do it the same way the book is, not in chronological order. I'm going to have a narrator. You know, Nick Offerman is the narrator for the whole thing. So the whole thing has like narration. He's like, no one's going to pay for this because no studio would want to make the movie the way I want to make it. So I'm just going to make it independently. And so he did. And he luckily had enough clout to like get enough money to do an independent film. And then it was bought by Neon, right? But so if you don't have that luxury, then you have to deal with producers and other people that are giving notes, whoever's giving you the money, you know? So I can appreciate that, but still, sometimes they change the weirdest things. You're just like, this is the heart of the book.
Yeah. And but they made some big changes to The Last of Us, the game. Adapted that. And some of the changes I know about, but I haven't played the whole of the second game, so I don't know all the changes, but I was finding out some of the changes from Louis, my son, because he was telling me, they did this, they did that, they did this. He's not happy about all the changes they made, but some of the changes they made in the first season, it's very clever because they just expanded on the characterization stuff. And, you know, you don't really need
that's another show I need to watch the second season of. The first season I was in for, and the second season I just haven't gotten on yet. But that show was that show was the writer of the show, the head writer of the show is the one who wrote the video games. So at least with that, when they're changing it, it's still within the same creative space, right? As opposed to something else, you know?
Yeah. And then it's like I like this. I like it when you see this in books as well, where the dialogue you're hearing in the film is exactly from the game or the book. I like that when they've literally used exactly the same dialogue. Because if it's a great line, it's a great line, you know.
Exactly, that's true.
I never played that game. I'm just enjoying the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't play the game either. I don't have video games. I do not have I have an addictive personality, if you can't tell from the 20 books a month situation. So so I realized pretty early on that like video games are just not a safe thing for me to play with because I can't just I can't go in and out. And I like to have things finished. Like I'm a completionist.
Yeah.
So like a video game, I can't just play a little bit here and there. So I haven't played that game either. Yeah.
Well, video games is the one thing I've pretty much stopped to read more. So I haven't really stopped TV or I'm coming back to films again. But yeah, that was the big change I made. To read more, less Skyrim, less Red Dead.
Yeah. Something's got to give.
Someone's got to give.
I read it but didn't see it. Bummer. It was bad. Apparently. These are when India decides to be a half hour off from the row, though. The book two
rest of the world
coordinated scheduled live stream. How I found out.
Yeah. Well, Nepal, which is right on the Indian border, is 15 minutes off from India. That's even crazier.
Oh wow. That's for me.
Also, India doesn't celebrate daylight savings time. So when I'm trying to talk to people in different countries that do, usually in the US, depending on what time of year it is, I have to like do the math differently.
Yeah. Oh, not for long. Trump's going to fix that too.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, daylight saving time does not make sense. We do not need it anymore. Like we're not an agricultural society that depends on the rising of the sun, and even if we were, it doesn't really work the way it's supposed to. So I'd be happy for anyone, Trump or anyone else, to get rid of daylight savings time.
I think feel like it's too big a decision certainly for an idiot to make, but for I don't know, for a president to make, it just seems like a really weirdly epic decision that it's just like you're talking about the time of the day.
I mean, which is made up.
It is made up, but it's still something that's been there for a long time. I don't know.
When did daylight savings time start, though? Like, when did America start instituting daylight savings time?
It must have been over in Europe. It must have been the Industrial Revolution, surely. Like going to maybe the 1700s or something. Don't know. I don't know when it happened, but I imagine.
And it started, at least daylight savings time started in 1916 to conserve energy during World War I.
Wow, that's a lot more recent than I thought.
Right. Yeah, I've heard a lot of propositions about, like, at least in the U.S., have everyone on the East Coast on permanently one time, and then like daylight savings time, and then what's the opposite called when it's not daylight savings time? What's that called?
Standard time.
Standard time, and have West Coast on standard time. And then people in the middle, the states get to choose which they want. But then once every state chooses, then you just kick, like states can choose like that, because different states have different needs. And if you have one time for all of the country, as you can see somewhere like India, it doesn't work.
If a state is choosing, that means it's whoever's in charge of that state at that time. And that changes, doesn't it?
No, but then you just put it into, I don't know, somehow formalize it in some official capacity.
Until someone else decides I don't want to change it.
I mean, there's already one state, right? Arizona doesn't recognize daylight savings time. Arizona is just like, screw you guys. We're doing what we want. Is it Arizona? I think so. There's one state, maybe Arizona, or I think it's Arizona.
No, I don't think it's Arizona. You talk about the mountain time. That's I don't know. Look it up. He's got the Google there.
Yeah, I bet in Arizona they don't like to queue either, do they?
I don't think it was Arizona.
Arizona and Hawaii are the two U.S. states that do not observe daylight savings time. Yeah.
Oh, that don't observe it. Oh, okay.
They don't observe it. They go, no.
Yeah.
It's really funny.
Husband's
a 2-hour nap pushing to 3.5 hours. I know that feeling. Like, do you nap well? Either of you? I'm not a good napper. Like when I nap, then I get up from the nap and I'm just like, I just want to go back to sleep. I can't do a nap. It doesn't work.
My sleep pattern's mental. So
do you work do you teach on Fridays?
Yeah.
Yes. So you do this live stream and then you go a few hours later, you're rocking. Yeah. So.
Yeah. And I came home today. I mean, I have had a really bad week, but I came in today. So I got in at about 4:30, and I knew I had the live stream at 11, and I knew that I have got loads of stuff to do for work, and I tried to do some, but it wasn't working. I was barely awake, so I thought I'm going to have a kip, or nap, the kip nap. And then I got the old woman Alexa to wake me up in like 3 hours or something, and I just went off. I started
What time?
shut up. And I started watching something on. I started watching.
What time?
I started watching Screen Crush, which is like an analyzed sci-fi stuff and that. And I knew that I'd fall asleep because the amount of times I missed the end of those videos. So I did that knowing I'd fall asleep, and then I knew I'd be all right for tonight. So what does that mean? Tomorrow I'm going to be like all off. Like I'll be tired for the morning, and So yeah, it's all a bit weird. So that's me constantly. I'm constantly falling asleep when I don't want to, and being awake when people are going, "Why is he awake?" All that. So,
have you ever, Gareth? Indonesia has 3 time zones. It's still 4 less than the States, especially small. Gareth, have you ever, when we've done one of these live streams, because we do the live stream, sometimes it goes pretty late. Then you always up for a little bit at least, because then you go make your egg sandwich, right?
Yeah.
And then, have you ever just stayed up and started school the next day, or in a few hours?
I have to, well, when I have paperwork to do, this is another thing that I can't handle paperwork very well. I spend all night. I'm doing like an all-nighter, and it's just because I'm constantly doing it and it's not working. I have to do it again, and blah 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 blah. And that's usually just because I have to. So yeah, I don't usually do that, but I would do that if I've got stuff I have to do for the next day, and our little show interrupts it.
Hey, priorities, right?
Yeah. It's probably good it's not on my channel this week, because if someone at work's like, "What the hell are you doing? You got all that stuff to do."
Yeah, right. So Constance,
you need a mental health break, a 3-hour mental health
break. Absolutely. No, seriously. I mean, that was what I was thinking, because I did talk to Dave earlier, because Dave said, "Do you want to postpone it?" And I said, "I didn't think it would be fair on you, but actually, also, I didn't say this to Dave, but I think I need it. It's just been constant. It's been relentless this week, and I've just been like stressing all day in the college itself, trying to talk to everybody to try and get them to finish their coursework, and it's just constant. And all my lunch breaks was like doing the same thing. I was leaving late, doing the same thing, constant emails, blah 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 blah. And I think actually, no, why not? I deserve a few hours like this, So
these kids today, Lecton, they just don't have 25-year devoted mentality. You know what I mean? They just
yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
I will say, it's interesting that the Tibetans, whenever you're like the most common thing you hear from Tibetans about anything, whenever you're stressed out about anything, you have too much going on, like the 2 common pieces of advice you get is, the first one is just relax. Like, it doesn't matter what is wrong. Like, the first thing they say is like, just relax, take it easy. So whatever's going on.
Can you say it slower?
Hloche. Yeah, you spell like LHO, I suppose. So it just means like calm down, relax. So it doesn't matter what's going on. Like, they're just gonna say hloche. And then the other thing is go slowly, like slow down. Kale means slowly. Doesn't matter what you're doing, what you're stressed out about. They're just like, slow down. Like, you don't have to be so fast. You don't have to listen to everything 2.5 speed. Okay, you can slow down. But so like, and that's where in my channel, whenever I end a video, I say go slowly, and that's because it's a Tibetan thing. Yeah. Like when you like, it's a very formal way of like of saying goodbye to someone. But when you're with someone and they leave, you say kale pe, which means go slowly, and then they say kale shu, which means remain slowly. Right. Mm-hmm. So like, that's like the call and response. And I just think it's really a testament to like how they see the world. It's just like, slow down, relax. Like, you know what I mean? You have to take things a little bit easier sometimes. So it's useful.
Yeah.
And it's funny. It sounds trite, right? Like, it sounds like really trite, but when you have someone tell it to you and you're not in the right headspace and they say, hey, slow down, it's really helpful. I went home last year. So my mother passed away in 2020. What year is it now? It's 2025. So she passed away in March 2024, and she had breast cancer. And I went home in January of 2023 is when she was diagnosed. And like, I served as her primary caregiver for 6 weeks, came back to the monastery. And then I went back again in December, and I spent basically 12 weeks taking care of her through the dying process. And my teacher would call me all the time and just be like, how are you? Just go slowly, relax. Like, just don't worry about it. Just relax. And that was his only advice. But it was really, it's like one of the things that's really helpful to hear, you know?
Yeah. Well, it's basically somebody telling you it's okay, right? Just,
yeah, exactly.
okay.
Just like whatever's going on, like just take it slow, and it's going to be, you're going to do a better job if you can just calm down a little bit. It doesn't matter what the situation is. So it's really, it sounds trite, but it's really a good way to live your life. Just slow down, just relax, just slow down. So that's why the 25 years come in.
Gareth, Calais. Did I say it right?
Yeah, there you go. Calais.
Yeah.
Slowly, yeah.
Calais.
Well, and again, I have done that because I realised what they want me to do for tomorrow. I can't do it. I can't physically do it. So I was like, I'll have to do it on the weekend, and that's it.
Yeah.
So I am Calais.
It's lighting for Dan.
Oh, that was a long time ago. I talked about my theater experience.
Right.
Yeah.
But they're saying, there are areas where theater and religion overlap.
Yeah, totally. Performance, you know, like what theater and religion. I had this great idea to do a thesis my senior year that was about performance, you know, and the idea that in religion and ritual, the whole idea of ritual in general is that you take the what is normally profane and you engage in sacred action to transform the sacred into the profane into the sacred, right? That's like the whole idea of rituals. Everyday life becomes something that transcends everyday life. And I think theater does the same thing. It's all about performance and what comes out of performance. So there's definitely overlap between religion and theater. But then, you know, this is like when you have really good advisors that can take care of you. So in my undergrad, I did my undergrad at Wesleyan University. And like I said, I have degrees in theater and religion, and neither of those required a thesis. I was very fortunate. Like both of them, they were optional. So I had this plan to do a thesis for both of my degrees. But for, you know, usually when you go abroad as a college student, you go abroad your junior year. But during my junior year, I was running a house of people interested in studying Buddhism, so I couldn't go abroad. So I had a chance to go abroad my senior year, but that would mean I couldn't do a thesis. So I went to my advisor and I was like, look, I have this chance to go to India, but I really should do a thesis. And he looked at me and he's like, why? He's like, go the fuck to India. Don't write a thesis. And I was like, okay, great. And he's like, you write an undergraduate thesis to prove you know how to write if you want to go to grad school and you know how to write. So yeah, don't do that. And I was like, oh, that's really good advice. Thank you. Yeah. So sometimes you just get the right advice at the right time. So I ended up not writing that thesis, but there is, I think, a really interesting overlap between theater and religion. Yeah. You know,
what would your thesis be about again?
The idea of performance, right? And the critical role of performance in creating sacred space, and in something to do with that. There's been a lot of, you know, if you study religion. In the study of religion, there are a lot of people that look and study ritual and the role that ritual plays in creating religious experience. So I'd probably go into some of the scholarship on ritual performance and how ritual transforms everyday into something beyond the everyday, and then somehow tie that into physically performing in a space. Nice. That would be something like that. Yeah,
I find it fascinating. People who've done a degree, what their final dissertation was about, you know, or their thesis, because it says so much about someone. You know, what they chose to do.
Well, and then that, you know, that my dissertation for my master's was on exactly what I talk about, this intimate reading. The idea that every time you read a text, you can get something new out of it. That, you know, I recite the same text every day sometimes as part of my prayers, right? Like I recite certain texts every day over and over again. And the idea that this text has one meaning, whether it be a religious text or a fictional text, that has one meaning, that once I read it, I'll understand that meaning and I can move on, I think is a really impoverished way of engaging in art in general, right? The idea that art has one specific meaning that I'm going to learn, and once I learn it, I've conquered it. Like that seems very limiting. So if you can then engage with art in such a way that every time you engage with it, you're open to learning something new about the text and about yourself, I think that's a much more meaningful way to do it. So that's what my thesis was on, my master's thesis. And that's kind of what I do a lot on my channel too, is just the idea of engaging in art in such a way that it opens you up, you know? And as a musician, you must know that. Like, you know, when you engage in music, it always does that, right?
Well, yeah, it does. But also as a songwriter, it's an interesting concept that some songwriters don't want people to have a specific interpretation of their songs. And I personally, if it depends on what kind of song it is, and if it's a personal kind of spiritualish, what's going on in my life kind of song, then it doesn't really matter so much. But if it's a political song, I am trying to make a point.
That's true.
and there's a song of mine, one of my most popular ones, and one of the ones that I feel the most kind of emotional attachment to, a song called "People Live On," and I remember there was a landlady at this place we used to play a lot, and she was like really angry that this person at the bar, while we were playing it, made some comment about it with some sort of God bothering song, and she was like, no, it's not, and it's not. It's a song saying what you live on by what you do in life and how you affect the community and what you leave behind, like leave the world, whatever. It's not, there isn't something afterwards in that song. That's what I wrote in the song, and he completely got the wrong idea of the song. So I don't feel like it's necessarily the song's fault, but the whole point of the song is that you need to do something while you're here to make a difference, and that's what makes you live on. So yeah, I feel like art is definitely what you say, that it is definitely open to interpretation. But as a songwriter, sometimes I am trying to do something specific.
Yeah. I mean, it's the same for most people that create art. They have an idea about it. Then the question is, but once you've created a thing and you release it to the world, like your part is done. And I guess as a performer, you might perform the same song over and over again. So there's a little bit of longevity to it. But once you create a piece of art, you have to kind of release it a little bit, right?
Yeah.
To some extent.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I think one of the have either of you listened to the band Sigur Rós? They're an Icelandic band.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, so like their album that really made them blow up in the US was their third studio album, I believe, and it doesn't have a title. It's just two empty parentheses, and none of the tracks have song titles, and he doesn't sing in a language. He made up a language to sing in for the whole album. And when they talk about it, he's like, look, all of these songs mean something to us. Like, we wrote them for a reason and they mean something, but like, we don't want to impose that on you. So like we want you to take this and it means what you want it to mean, because that's the point of this kind of work, So I think that's a really, I mean, it's a little bit artsy fartsy, but it's also a very, I don't know, it's an engaging album. I really love that album.
This isn't as extreme, but that's how Michael Stipe felt about what he did in REM. So, I'm a huge REM fan, but it wasn't like until the fifth album that their producer said, why are you mumbling? You can't hear the words properly. And he's like, well, yeah, that's what I want. I don't, and they had to read. He told him, look, these are good lyrics. You should be making it clearer. And he's like, no, don't do that. And he had to be persuaded to sing clearer so that the words would be clearer, because that's not why he wrote lyrics. It's interesting, isn't it?
Well, what was the name you mentioned, like them?
The band is Sigur Rós, Sigurros.
Yeah, really good. Very atmospheric band.
Yeah, it depends. I mean, their albums, you look especially at their album releases, and almost every album has like a different twist to it. So the album after that is still quite contemplative. Then it gets more poppy with the album after that. Then like industrial. They have like a good range. But that album, the untitled album,
This is the most significant comment we've had all night, is that they're listening to us at 1X. ASMR.
I sometimes watch live streams not at 1X, to be honest. I have to like wait until they've already started, and if I come in late, then you hop in at 2X at the beginning to try to catch up.
Yeah. I know Alan from Big Heart Books.
Yeah, he does that, doesn't he?
He said he does that. He just joins them late and then just catches up.
I will say, when you listen to things above 1X for a while, and you just get used to it, and then you slow down to 1X, everyone sounds like they're talking through head injuries. You just get so accustomed to everything at fast speed.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. Even the audio books, I'm not. I prefer to read physical books. I'm not. I don't love the Kindle. I don't love the audio, but like, if I don't listen to audiobook, I'm going to waste all this time in the car when I'm going back and forth to the office. So I do listen to them, and but even those, I can only listen to those at 1.2 comfortably. If I go any faster than that, like, my mind will fall behind. You know what I mean? And I'm going to miss stuff. Like, and I just I don't know.
I mean, my mind's just a constant hamster on a wheel. So
I
listen to audiobooks. I think 2.1 maybe.
Wow.
But my podcasts are like 3.5. So when you compare it to podcasts, it's a lot different. When you compare it to real life, it depends on the audiobook, and it depends on how well it's recorded, and if there's an accent, and if it's well made and well spoken, then it sometimes is a little faster. Yeah. Sometimes if there's more than one narrator or they're doing different voices, I have to slow down. For the same reason though, like if I'm going to listen to it, I want to get I want to get the most out of it, you know?
Yeah.
And so I'm not interested in finishing an audiobook just to like check it off my list. That doesn't interest me as much as a completionist as I am. And that's like a really poor way to engage with any sort of art. But if I listen to it slower, sometimes I just like, I get anxious. I'm like, why? What am I doing?
Yeah.
So
I think it might be like a little bit of the like residual OCD in me that like I still like if I'm reading a book, I still need to get every sentence. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even though I'm not at like a couple weeks after I'm done with that book, I'm not going to remember 99.98% of those sentences, right? I still need to get every one while I'm reading it.
No, I agree.
Yeah. I don't know.
My measure is that if when I finish an audiobook, if it sticks with me the same way a written book would, a physical book, then I don't feel like I've gone too fast through. But if I get to the end of the day and I'm like, what did I read this afternoon? Like it just blew by, then I slow it down, you know?
Yeah. So
Who
Constance
wrote
says,
Oh Dad, Poor Dad?
I don't know. Was that a PKD one?
No, I don't think so.
I'll write it down.
Oh Dad, Poor Dad. Pat, where's Pat? Scott and Amy were impossible to speed up and understand. Scott and Amy.
Do I know Scott?
Oh, I never knew you could speed it up until recently. So I'm just so used to everyone speeding it. That's not a bad thing, Nicole.
Yeah, no. You take people at their own speed is much better than forcing them to your speed. Let's be honest.
Right?
But I've realized that I don't really watch YouTube on my phone very much. Like I use my computer for everything. But on the computer, you can only go to 2x. But on the phone, I can go to 3x.
Oh.
I think it's because I have YouTube Premium, so they let you go faster, but only on the phone, not on the website, on the laptop version.
Yeah.
So if I'm watching something like one of your streams, right, that's 3 hours long, I go to 3x. I have to turn it on my phone.
Right.
Like I don't, because I don't.
Well, you can't hear it though, can you?
Yeah, of course I can.
Three times speed.
Yeah.
Hear all the words.
Look, it's a matter of getting used to it. Like it sounds insane, and it is a little bit insane. Like I'll grant you that it is not like a normal thing, right? But it's not like I went from 1x to 3x. I went from 1x to 1.1x, and then like a month later, I went to 1.2x. Like it's a gradual progression.
Information as well. You're not getting the nuance of how something's being said. You're just going, blah, 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 hearing the words, and you're collecting information like data.
I don't think so.
I think it's a little offended.
No.
You're not fully appreciating the way that
how much nuance? How much
my
nuance am I missing?
Yeah, Dave. If you just watch what Dave just did, it was really funny. And if you saw that at 3 times the speed, it wouldn't be funny.
No, I agree with that. I agree with the speed for visuals doesn't work. So if there's anything that is visual,
I thought his voice was funny as well. He went, do it again. Do that beautiful New York thing you just did. It was
I don't
awesome.
even remember what I did. You're not appreciating the way I fully articulated my point.
There you go. See, they're crying with laughter in the audience. Except the one person who's watching it on 3 times speed is going, what's funny about that?
I don't get it. Yeah, I don't get it.
Yeah.
No, look, it's an insane thing. Like I'm not saying it's normal, and I'm not saying it's something everyone should do. Okay, but I will say though it was gradual. Like it's not like I went from 1x to 3x. It's like you do it at 1.1x for a while, and then that just becomes normalized, right?
So 1.5 was a gateway drug.
100%, 100%. 100%. And it had to do with podcasts because I was listening to podcasts so often, right? That's what did it for me. I was listening to a lot of podcasts.
You wouldn't listen to music like that, would you?
No, God, no. No.
See, I get it for podcasts. I can totally see I could totally see speeding that up because there's a lot of dead time, right? When people are chatting.
When it's something, if it's something that's really well crafted, right? If it's music or a TV show or anything that's like made with a certain rhythm in mind, then I'm not going to speed it up. But when it's just people talking,
Yeah. Jenny wants it faster.
Won't be as funny.
As I've never seen YouTube either, Jenny. Yeah, no, he's got YouTube Premium. You can go 3 times.
I will say the nice thing about being in India is that like YouTube Premium for India cost me 1,500 rupees a year, which is like $20. for a year of YouTube Premium. So you get much better cost structure when you live in India.
Yeah, it was. I was telling you before we went on. I was telling you I'd been there a few times, and it's impressive how far $20 can go.
Yeah. Yeah. I will say living here full time, it's dangerous to think that way because, it's more useful to think in rupees because you live here. Yeah. But when you're only here for a little while, it's easy to stretch out. Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody talks.
Even books I buy are cheaper here. The same books that I'd buy in the US because they're marked for an Indian audience, which is why a lot of them say on the back, like for sale only on Indian subcontinent.
Oh, look, you got one of those there? Let's see what that looks like.
Let me see if I have one that I bought here recently.
So you buy most of your books in like local bookstores?
You know what? To be honest, these ones are all imported. So no, they don't have that mark on them. Up until very recently, I did almost all my book reading digitally because I don't really like having things. Like I don't have maybe that's the whole monk in me. Like I don't have very much interest in owning things if I don't have to. And like stuff just takes up space. But the more I've been reading, I want to be able to share books with my family and with my nibblings, especially my nephews and nieces. And so there's a good reason to have physical books. So I've only started buying physical books in maybe the last 2 years or so. So most of what I read digitally. And now I'm just starting to build up a physical collection solely for the purpose of then pushing my ideas on others.
Right.
My sister just has like a bookshelf at her house that's just filling with my books. And like she has to get a new one.
Yeah.
So that's the whole idea, is to influence, the younger generation with my particular reading tastes.
Well, that's cool. I mean, it's Sorry, go ahead.
No. So I don't have any books though right now. The ones I have near me were imported, so I don't have any that say that.
Yeah. I mean, it's effective, right? Because when people send you books, then you feel like, I really should read this because so-and-so gave it to me.
Yeah.
Or even just having it on a shelf though. Like I think what really motivated me is there is a podcast I listen to called The King Cast, and it's all about Stephen King books. And every episode there's a new guest and they talk about like your Stephen King origin story with most of the guests. And I'd say at least half the guests are like, I saw this novel on my mother or my father's bookshelf and I decided to read it. And so just like having those books around creates the space for someone to be inquisitive and to pick something up,
Yeah.
So like I just wanted to create that space for others in my family.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's true because I have way too many books. And so I you can't see them here, but I built a lot of shelves in this, what I call the study here. Right. And so it's just filled. And when people, this is like right in the center of the house. So when people, and it is a really good feeling, like when people come over, they'll like walk through and like, who doesn't peruse, right? Like, like books are like, like looking around, they'll be like, oh, this looks really interesting. I'll be like, take it, They'll be like, oh, can I borrow this? I'm like, absolutely. And most of them I know I'm not getting back, right? But it's just, it's cool that somebody sees it on your shelf. That's something you were interested in, and they're going to go take it home and hopefully read it because they saw it,
Yeah.
It's
So the funny thing is, so now like I don't have very many shelves here. I mean, and so like whenever I read a book, I have it in a box marked to like bring home to the US. So now I've just got these boxes, and books weigh a lot. I don't know. You get 23 kgs of luggage on every trip, so I think it's just going to be a couple trips, just books back and forth.
Yeah. That's the opposite of what Garrett did when he came here. He came with empty suitcases.
Yeah. And brought back a full suitcase that was it was just okay. Yeah.
We went to the Strand in New York. Back then, we went to Joe and I took him to the Strand, and Joe and I were just like his butlers, I guess you'd call it. We were just carrying around all the books that he
the aide de camp.
Yeah, you did offer, just to clarify. I didn't just.
That's true.
But yeah, $130 or something, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, so you got like what, 3 books?
Yeah. Yeah.
No, okay.
I was well impressed actually because there was loads of out of print books there in the Strand that were only $10, which is nothing,
Yeah.
See, all right.
It's not working. My wife sent me this thing today because they're awful barkers. She sent me this thing today where she said, this is the trick. She's like, don't say anything, don't yell at them or anything. You put your hand on their chest and just breathe. Don't say anything, just breathe. And it like resets them. And it didn't work.
Well, Ralph and Chico haven't really done a lot of barking, but 2 cats have just moved in next door, and Ralph has started barking a lot more. So yeah, it's a bit of a new thing really for him doing that. But I guess he's also probably been a grumpy old man as well, being as he's like 600 years old.
Yeah. All right, so here's a question for you, Lachlan.
Oh, I see. Yeah, did I? No, I didn't always go into Buddhism. I found Buddhism when I got into college. I was raised in an Episcopalian church. Never really believed it. Was quite active in the church, quite a bit. Sang in the choir since I was quite young. I was an acolyte. I was a lay reader. I did all the things, and I never believed it. I thought it was like a social group. And I kind of assumed that no one else believed it either, which was my projection, right? The projection of a young person. But it's very waspy New England, Episcopalian church. And so that was my impression. I was like, this is just a thing you do on the weekends. And then some things conspired in my life to make me quite cynical against religion. So I decided to study religion when I got to college. And I also, a good friend of mine had died. And like that had I realized I didn't have the emotional bandwidth, or the language to navigate dealing with that grief. And so I had these like dual pulls when I got to college of being really angry at religion and deciding I was smarter than it. So I was going to study it to prove how wrong it was, which was like my motivation as a 17-year-old, a really angry, cynical 17-year-old. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I knew that I was missing something important in my life. I didn't know what it was. And I took a class, like an introduction to Buddhism class that was like an overview, just like a historical overview of Buddhism, and everything like clicked and it felt like I was coming home to something. So I just kind of fell in as a college freshman. And awesome. It got out of control from there.
Yeah, you're set for 25 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so what happens? I was going to save this till like when we were caught up, but we'll never be caught up because we never So that started you on the journey your freshman year, and then were you like by the time you started grad school, because you went to Harvard for a divinity degree.
Yeah,
I mean that's where you go, right? If you want the divinity degree,
I guess. Yeah.
There's
one of a few.
And so were you all in on Buddhism by the time you started the grad program?
Yeah, I was all in by the time I started the grad program, though, to be fair, getting a divinity degree was kind of an accident. And the reason is, so like I was all in on Buddhism. When I was in undergrad, I kind of fell in really quickly. I had a chance to live with other students who were interested in studying Buddhism and Buddhist meditation. And then I was in charge of that community for a year. So I was all in. And then, as I said, I was a theater techie. So I worked full time as a theater techie after I graduated undergrad. And I decided to go back to get a master's degree to see if I wanted to continue into academia. And the idea was find somewhere, do a 2-year master's degree. If I like it, roll it into a PhD and teach. If I don't like it, move to New York, be a theater tech full time. Like those were like how I was viewing my options. And so I applied for a number of regular master's programs, like just 2 years master's programs. But I knew someone that had gone through the divinity program as a Buddhist and received a degree. And I think I didn't really realize the distinction between a master's of divinity versus like a master's in religious studies. Like I didn't conceptualize what the difference was. But since I knew someone that went through that program, I applied and I got in, and they offered me a lot of money. So I went, and then I was like, oh, okay. And then everything kind of fell into place. So the idea of a divinity program is that they're teaching you how to be a minister, whatever that means. So originally divinity programs were started by different Protestant groups that didn't have seminaries, right? Like they were in place of seminaries. And then the idea was a number of different Protestant traditions could have one program because there's so much overlap in a lot of Protestant belief systems. So like different ministers from different Protestant faiths could join this one program and still be qualified in their respective religions to be leaders of some sort. And Harvard kind of decided, like, look, all we're doing is training you how to use your own spiritual beliefs to engage in the world in a meaningful way. So we're not teaching you your beliefs. We're teaching you how to use those beliefs. And that's what it means to be a minister, is to use whatever your spiritual beliefs are as your guiding force in how you engage in the world. So we can do that with anyone. It doesn't have to be Christian. So they started accepting Buddhists into their program, maybe 30 years ago or so. And so then I ended up there, and everything clicked and fell into place. And at the end of that, I didn't know what I was going to do. I knew I didn't want to do a PhD right away because I'd seen some of the circus that's behind the scenes of academia. and I needed a break from it. And I spoke to my teacher, my guru, and he said, "Oh, you become a monk, get a geshe degree." And I said, "Oh, okay." And as soon as he said it, like, I knew it was the right thing to do. It made sense. And I was very fortunate. Like, I'd been in a long-term relationship for almost 10 years at that point. And so I told my partner, and he was like, "Yeah, of course. Like, that makes sense." Like, and my whole family, none of my family's Buddhist, but they're like, "Oh yeah, of course you're a monk." Like, that is clearly, like, everyone else saw it before I did. They were just like, "Yeah, of course. Like, this is clearly what you are doing." So I was very fortunate in that way, you know.
So did your partner move to India with you? And
God, no. He stayed in America. But he was my best friend. He passed away in 2019, but he was my best friend. So when I moved here to India, he basically took my place. So like all the family functions that I didn't go to, he went to. So birthday parties and holiday celebrations and everything, he was already like ingratiated into the family at that point. So he just like went over and took care of things that I didn't have to. He was a much better guy than me. I mean, after my mother retired, he'd go visit her like once or twice a week, like, and bring her lunch and just hang out with her. And I was like, I wouldn't do that. But he, you know, So yeah, I'm very fortunate that my oldest nephew remembers him. All the other nephews and nieces, he passed away before they were born, but he remembers Uncle Danny. So it was very nice that he was part of the family like that. Yeah. But yeah, it just worked. I was very fortunate that everyone in my life were very accepting and recognizing this is the right thing for me to do. Yeah. Not everyone is as fortunate.
Because you do, and I apologize for my ignorance in advance. I just don't. I told you I was going to ask you questions, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it did, like, entering the monastery does require ending any romantic relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah,
100%.
That's great though. The level that you had that level of understanding from everybody that was so close to you.
Yeah, it's very fortunate. I mean, I think part of it is none of them are particularly religious. You know, my sister and brother are both atheists. My mother is vaguely Christian, or she was vaguely Christian, but like didn't really have any, you know what I mean? Like she has some sort of beliefs, but she's not like wedded to them. Yeah. And so like me becoming Buddhist wasn't a big deal. Like they didn't feel like I was betraying them in any way. And so they also just realized it was the right thing for me. And I think, you know, you take like the big picture look. If you look at how angry and like disaffected I was as a teenager, and like how many problems I had, and then you see when I started practicing Buddhism what transformation there was, then they see like clearly this is beneficial. Like whatever this is, it's making you a better person, and therefore keep doing it. You know? Yeah. And
like no hesitation about the 25-year commitment, or
not really. It just seemed like the right thing. You know, as soon as in Tibetan Buddhism, the relationship between the teacher and student is really powerful. And so as soon as he gave me that instruction, I knew it was the right thing to do. Like I felt a strong confidence that it was the right thing to do.
Yeah.
But to also be fair, like the reason I am studying, getting this degree is so I can teach. And I'm already teaching. Like I was doing introductory level classes at a temple outside of Boston before I became a monk. Right. So I was already engaging in this kind of, teaching and leading meditation and doing all these things. So it's not like I have to wait 25 years to start that. So that's why I'm continue teaching now throughout India and in the US, even though I haven't got my degree, quote unquote.
Did you also think it was like about the journey and not necessarily the end result as well?
Yeah, 100%. It's all about the journey. The end result doesn't really matter. You know, I have a friend of mine who is another American. He was here and he did the first 17 years of the program. And then our teacher said, okay, you can finish now. You don't have to finish it. So like he didn't ever get his actual degree, like the Geshe degree, the title. He went through 17 years and then he just left. And he's still the monk and he still teaches. He didn't get the degree that like proved that he did these 17 years because the degree doesn't matter. It's just a name, right? It's really inconsequential.
So nothing actually, like when you get to that point and you get that degree, nothing actually changes?
No. It's just, within Tibetan Buddhism, there's 4 different major denominations within Tibetan Buddhism. And my denomination is the only one that does this degree. And the other denominations have like their own titles that they give out for people that have achieved different levels of meditation or status as a teacher. Like, so there are different titles that the different denominations will give to their teachers, but it's just a title. It doesn't really mean anything, you know? And there's not like the kind of central organization in Buddhism that other religions have. So like, I don't have to be empowered by anyone to go teach. Like I receive the instruction of my teachers to do it, my direct teachers, but like, that's all, there's no like Pope essentially, even though we look at the Dalai Lama and we have a lot of respect for him. Like he can't tell us what to do, It'd be easier if you could sometimes for some people, I think. They need a little more guidance. But so because of that, there's a lot of freedom in it. So no, nothing will change. All that'll change is I'll probably head back to the States for better or worse.
You will?
Yeah. I'm not going to I think, the benefit of having someone who's a teacher who has the level of intense study that I have or that the other Westerners have is that we can then go teach in the States in a way that's much more useful, because we don't have to translate. Like, never mind language barriers, but we don't have to have the cultural translation that all the Tibetan teachers have when they come to the States. So when I teach Westerners, it's much more direct and experiential than having a Tibetan teacher teach Westerners most often.
Yeah, sure.
Right. So it's an uncommon skill because there are a few Westerners that have trained to the extent that myself and others in the monastery are training. So, I imagine I'll go back to the States and continue teaching there.
And so
I don't think about it too much, though. It's so far away. Like, I can't make plans,
Yeah, I was going to say, so this is probably too advanced of a question at this point, but or too speculative a question at this point. But you don't have any idea of whether, when you came back to the States, of whether you'd be moving into an academic role or a role at a monastery here.
What would likely happen is it wouldn't be an academic role.
Okay.
Most likely, I would be continuing. I'd find a Dharma center. So I'm part of a larger organization called the Foundation for the Preservation of the Mahayana Tradition. So it's just a particular Western Buddhist, it's a Western organization of Tibetan Buddhists. And they have, I think, like 170 projects in like 60 countries around the world. So any of those centers, there's like a dozen of them throughout the States. If they need a resident teacher, I would go there and teach, So I'd find one of those centers probably that is looking for a teacher and go live there and teach, most likely.
No.
Though I will say, to be honest, a big part of me really wants to go back to school and get my MSW. But my sister has her MSW, and I think it's really valuable. And as someone that does as spiritual leaders, you get called to give like emotional guidance about people's lives all the time. And so I really think therapists are really important in the world right now, especially. Yeah. And so having proper training as a therapist is something I'd like to do, but I can't imagine the amount of debt that would accumulate for 3 more years of school. So I don't know if that's going to happen, but part of me very much wants to. Yeah.
What's an MSW? What's that?
Masters of Social Work. Yeah. So it's training to be a therapist. Yeah. It's training to do therapy, not a psychologist, not a psychiatrist, obviously, because that requires an MD, but it's doing different types of therapy, offering therapy.
Yeah.
In the U.S., a lot of therapists don't necessarily have, psychiatry is medical degree, really, but
a
lot of people don't necessarily have a degree in psychology. A lot of them have a master's degree in social work.
Yeah,
and perform the same function.
Right.
So we'll see. I don't know. I have ideas, but it's so even now, like I said, it's at least 10 years away in the future. So making plans now seems kind of silly,
Yeah.
So I do the best I can now, studying as much as I can, teaching as often as I can when I can fit it into my schedule, and then we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. But at this point, you are still envisioning. You're not thinking you'll
go into academia,
being like the other guy. You're still envisioning finishing the degree at this point.
Yeah, I don't have any reason not to.
Yeah.
I envision that's the plan.
Well, you're
no
now
one has
like
given me alternative advice.
13, 14 years in, or
I've been here for 13 years.
Yeah.
If I'm going to do the full program, I'm just halfway done now. There's a shorter version of the program that's only 19 years, and then the longer version is 25 years. And so we'll see which of those I do.
Well, elected. Maybe if you put a couple of the Tchaikovsky books on hold, you can get it done a little quicker.
Right? Priorities. Have to have priorities, my friend. What's the difference between 19 years or 20 years? It's all the same.
Yeah, sure. And it's like you said, it's about the journey, right? So
yeah, 100%. So otherwise, if you don't think that way, you just get exasperated and you'd burn out, with whatever you're doing. You have to be able to appreciate whatever you're doing.
And you'll be frustrated about where you are at that point.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's not just me here. It's anything. Whatever you're doing, whatever your profession is, whether you're a student or whatever profession you work in, if you're only focused on the end goal, then getting there is just going to be frustrating and unfulfilling, So it's all about process.
You reminded me of a conversation that so my kind of music partner, if you like, the guy that closest thing I've got to a brother, we played music together for 35 years. he was asked once at a party. This woman that's kind of relatively successful that he now plays guitar for. She said to him, referring to us, what we were doing in our band. She said, "What do you want to do with it?" And he said, "I'm doing it."
Yeah. Yeah.
She was like, "Where do you want to get to?" He's like, "I'm doing it." That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was very proud of him when he said that.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
You know, it's just a matter of like recognizing what external measures of success are never going to actually leave you satisfied, right? Because there's always more. There's always another one you can reach. So if that's how you're measuring your self-worth, whatever it is, whether it's your job or your profession or your relationships, if you're looking for external measures of self-validation, you're always going to be disappointed. You might get like a high when you hit some milestone, but then there's another one that you haven't gotten to yet.
And you're also
like when you get to
those. Go on.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say you're also devaluing those milestones, aren't you? Go on, guys.
Yeah.
I was gonna say like when you hit 2K subscribers, Garrett.
Well, that'd be nice.
Well, there are some exceptions. There are some exceptions. There are some things, you know.
Some things will never happen. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true, Nicole. All right. Oh man, we got way behind again.
I don't think we read a comment for about 45 minutes. So
I know. Well, I was like mesmerized by Elected.
This is why we have a great guest on, isn't it?
Yeah.
Or you have me, one or the other. You don't need a great guest. You just need a guest that can talk a lot.
Oh, hi, Susan. I'm a cat.
Oh, hi, Susan.
But I have to say that the Buddhists seem so peaceful. Peaceful people and seem very centered. You do seem very peaceful, like that, I have to say.
Yeah. No,
I'm very good at pretending. Very good at pretending.
I've always genuinely thought Buddhism was the best advert for religion.
Yeah.
We can cut some commercials.
Reading it.
Oh.
Wow.
Ooh.
One of the worst books I've suffered through. Wow.
I mean, to get to 75% and then DNF also, like that's a lot, you know?
Yeah.
By the time I get to 75% of any book, I'm probably going to finish it just because I'm almost there.
It's not that big either. It's only about
you put in all that effort, you know?
So I appreciate that. Good.
I hope Pat's still here. We missed it when she got here. Hey, Pat, if you're still here, I hope.
Quit it.
We've name checked her a few times.
Yeah. Hey, Pat, her ears probably started ringing. And
I think there's some weather situation in the Northeast right now.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. How is it for you, Dave?
Oh, I think it's okay here.
I see.
It was drizzling a little bit before, but Pat's a little bit a ways from me. Not too
far.
Pat
was getting warnings she was on a live stream with Elaine. She was getting warnings from the police.
Like what, tornado warnings or?
Yeah. Well, I think something like that. Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think. I mean, I might have just missed it. I had, I'm tunnel vision when the live stream's coming. So we might have.
We see the house lift off behind him.
Yeah.
Anyway, saying hi to Pat. Oop, I messed it up again. Hold on. Sorry.
Yeah, I was just talking to a friend of mine who is in Iowa, someone I went to college with, I haven't seen in a couple of years. And she was saying how they went through a tornado last year and it like crushed half her house. And I never really thought of Iowa as tornado country, but she said they get quite a lot up there, which I didn't realize. I've only been through one tornado in New England, in Worcester. Yeah. And then it was terrifying. It was really, really scary. I don't know if you've lived through a tornado, but they're not pleasant.
Yeah. I haven't. Yo, go ahead, Gareth.
No, you finish what you're going to say.
No, I was just going to say I haven't lived through one, but we've had the warnings up here numerous times, and they've touched down in the area, just not, not in my town. So,
yeah, we don't have extreme weather over in the UK, but I have lived through a tornado. So it was just a really freak thing that happened when I was playing at a festival. So our first ever 3-day festival, and this tornado ripped all of the stages, flattened the main stage. It was this huge stage, it just completely flattened, and 2 people were sent to hospital by helicopter who were on the stage at the time, and I'll never forget it. And it was like it was a really interesting experience, but it was just an experience from the point of view of the family. So my wife and my daughter were by the camping area, and me and my son were on site, and we were like holding up these kind of market stall things that are on the site, not knowing it was a tornado, just think, oh, it's a bit windy, and then there was these people with the radios like running around, and we were like, this looks pretty serious, and my son and my son was 8 years old at the time, right? So he's a really little boy, and we were like helping it was like a bar, like we're helping this bar out, and then that seemed to calm down, and then we noticed what had happened, and we were like, oh my god. And then he was only 8 years old, and he was really worried about his sister, and he wanted to go back to the camping, and they closed off the area, so we couldn't go back to the camping. And it was just really, he was saying to the security guy, but I want to see if my sister's all right. This is really like, and I was like, we'll, and I managed to find a way to kind of circumnavigate to avoid the security guy. And I said, look, we'll go around here. We'll go back to see Jess and your mum, and they were fine.
That's nice.
But, yeah. To always remember that. Bless him.
So Nicole was a Zen Buddhist for a while. Now an atheist since 2016. Still incorporate a lot of what I learned.
That's great. I mean, one of the beautiful things about Buddhism in general is that you don't have to be Buddhist to appreciate a lot of the teachings that it offers, and a lot of the meditative technologies, and also just philosophical ideas. So you can incorporate a lot of them without actually being Buddhist, which is a really wonderful thing.
Yeah. So let me ask you. So if you were what?
I'm looking at Pat's message. I was looking at Pat's message. That's all.
Trees down everywhere. Power outages. Storm again now. We're under severe weather warnings. Trees down right in front of my house. Go down to the basement, Pat. You have a basement? We can't lose you, girl. Go in the basement. Poor trees. Lack of power. I mean, she's on the internet, so she got something.
That's true.
They have power. Across the street, they do not.
Wow. So she was lucky where she was, I guess.
Storm definitely got worse. Ooh. Wow, this live stream suddenly got very action packed here. That happens a lot. Portland too. Not sure.
Yeah. See, here we're just used to not having power. I quite often don't have power here. When I first moved to India, we only had power from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. every day. So there's 12 hours off, 12 hours on. And now slowly we have 24-hour power, but it's not consistent. So almost, so I have a battery backup. Right now I have power, which is uncommon. I didn't expect it. But I knew as soon as I hop on a 3-hour live stream, I'm going to lose power. But I have a battery backup. But you just get used to it. You get used to not having stability. Yeah.
So Heidi always thought she was an atheist, but after 2 experiments, when I thought it was over for me, I prayed, so I've been agnostic since 2001.
Yeah. What works?
On the risk of, well, we're far behind. I don't know where. Fundamentals was the risk of keeping followers contained so as not to lose control of them. Sorry if that sounds harsh.
No, that's true.
I think that's fair.
That's an aspect of religion, definitely.
Pat, so glad to see you. It is, I tell you, I won't keep this long because we don't want to turn it into a political thing, but I will tell you, it is pretty mesmerizing watching what's happening. I mean, there's so many things that are mesmerizing about what's happening in the U.S. right now, but the religious piece and with the religious right and it's just, you look at the historical teachings and you look, that's what's being done in the name of that. Yeah. Those doctrines, they are just so inconsistent that it's dumbfounding. It really is dumbfounding.
Mesmerizing is very generous.
I was going to say, mesmerizing isn't the word I would use. No. Yeah, I agree. It's really, that's when you see when man-made systems, which religions essentially are, these man-made systems trying to understand something that's not manly or human, like they can be corrupted quite easily, and they can just fit whatever personal, political, or power needs you have, right? And I think, unfortunately, you see that happening, is that they take things that ostensibly are very life affirming and twist them for whatever needs they want to twist them to.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a real transformation in my definition of my own atheism when I read a book that defined positive atheism and defined it as not a lack of belief or misunderstanding or doubt or anything like that, but a rejection of religion. And when I saw it as a rejection, it was like, well, actually, that makes sense to me, because me personally, from the way I understand all of this, is like that we're calling religious. We created God. We created blah blah whatever's attached to it. We created the devil. We created we created morality. For the idea so to define atheism as rejecting those things rather than not believing them, to me that makes a lot more sense. So that's why I thought it was kind of something I could settle with.
Yeah, I mean, there's different strands of atheism too. Like, so Buddhism technically is an atheist religion. If you define atheism as not believing in a creator God, right? There's no creator deity, then Buddhism is an atheist religion. It does believe in things that would be considered supernatural if you say they can't be confirmed by contemporary Western science. And so if believing in quote unquote supernatural things makes you not atheist, there's like some argument there, right? But so in general, Buddhism is atheist, because I define atheism as not believing in a creator being or an omnipotent creator being. But the Dalai Lama is very reticent to call himself an atheist. He calls himself a non-theist. And the reason is because of the new atheist, right? It's like Richard Dawkins types who aren't really atheists as much as they are anti-theist, right? And they're not saying like, I personally reject religion as a useful modality of my life, but they say religion is nothing but a cancer that causes harm only. And so he doesn't want to be associated with that, is my impression. So he doesn't call himself an atheist because he doesn't want that confusion, right? Between an anti-theist or an anti-religious zealot versus a non-believer. So I think rejecting religion, like when you say that, when you explain it, I think that makes sense. When I hear the term rejecting religion, it sounds very forceful in a way that seems like, But when you explain it, I agree. Yeah. I thinking of, morality. I just finished a reread of The Dispossessed by Ursula K. Le Guin. And there's a whole scene in there where one of the characters is talking to the anarchist, and he's like, none of you you must be a totally immoral society because you don't have rules. You don't believe in anything. And his response is, no, like our whole goal is to be a perfectly moral society. And we've gotten rid of the moralizing and the rules and the punishments and the coercion. And the whole point of getting rid of that is so that humans can see good and evil and make the choice themselves. Because the only true morality is when you're not coerced into following something or believing something, but you have the capacity to see those distinctions and make the choice yourself, right? Yeah. And so that's what it means to be a moral person, is to recognize you don't have to be. Yeah.
That's my favorite Le Guin book.
Yeah.
Under storm watch till 9. By the way, shooting down was on Elaine's shows making me think there was a tornado. Massive destruction. Just a few minutes. Oh. Looking forward. We're an hour behind on the comments, so I'm hoping Pat's still alive at this point. Gun film also comes out on August 11th.
I nearly mentioned Naked Gun earlier. That trailer is hilarious.
Yeah, that should be fun.
Is it a remake or a sequel?
It's a kind of a redoing. So Liam Neeson's playing Frank Drebin's son. So it's going to be and then the trailer's very similar kind of jokes. Yeah, it's going to be funny.
It'd be good to see. It must be good to see Liam Neeson like take the piss out of himself a little bit. Because so many of his roles are so serious. So for him to kind of be the joke end of that, I think it would be really interesting.
Yeah. Have you tried your local charity shop? No, I've got a CD player. It's a really nice CD player.
You just don't use it. You buy CDs faster than you listen to them. That's the problem.
Listen to what you own.
Yeah. There you go.
Constance's looking out for you there, Pat. It's behind. They still haven't seen me arrive. When she left us, we hadn't. It's close. Yeah, very scary. I'm gonna log off here. Oh, okay, Pat.
Oh no.
Well, you're gone, but I hope you're safe.
Yeah.
Tell them I was here. Thanks, everyone.
Hopefully.
Goodness, quite an unexpected experience. I hope you're stuck in here. Oh, Pat. I'll have to message her later. Stay safe. Everybody wishing Packer well. Heidi,
If you really want to make sure, if you want to weatherproof your house, what you have to do is buy a generator and a sub pump and all the things you need to protect yourself from a storm, and then you just won't have one anymore. You'll be fine.
Yeah,
You have to spend a couple $1,000s to make your house
right.
weatherproof, and then you just will be fine.
That's right. New TV show Stick. Anybody seen that?
No, but that's got Mark Maron. Mark Maron plays his caddy. I know that,
No,
but I haven't seen it yet.
it's not. 8-volume series, not 20 volumes. Is David Wingrove's Middle Kingdom series? Okay, I never heard of that. Rage, Rage is here. Hey, Rage.
Hi, Rage.
Enjoying biscuits as he should.
Booktuber, the better for the subscriber in every way. Once the booktuber creates a Discord, then they just forget about the subs.
I don't like Discord.
That's
like
true. That's true. I've seen that happen.
Throwing some shade.
Sometimes, but not always. Not you though, Gareth. Right? When you hit that 2K, that's not going to be you.
He's just waiting out for one of the emerald. What is it? The gold plaques.
Oh, that's is that for when you get hundreds or something? Is that when you get
There's a couple different.
thousands.
I think like 100,000 is one. There's 100,000, and then there's a few different ones.
Yeah,
there's one for 1 million subscribers. I've seen that.
Yeah, I think the gold is the 100,000, right? And the platinum is.
I mean
like
that is
million.
when it becomes your job, isn't it? Like, when you get 100,000.
Yeah,
it has to be your job at that point.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, maybe not 100, but
because we know that monetizing doesn't get you much where we are. But my mate who's got two, I might have said this before, so apologies if I want to repeat myself. But my mate Jono, who has got two different channels. One's a political one and one's a philosophical one. He's written lots of philosophical books, but he's done this constant Ukraine update, this Ukraine war update.
Yeah.
And one of the channels has got 40-something thousand subs, and the other one's got 37,000 or something. And he said it pays his mortgage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
it can do. I mean, the thing is, it's not consistent. Like depending on, there's a multiplier. So it's you get an X amount per view, but it's not consistent for every channel because different channels have different draw for advertisers. So people doing BookTube, even if you have 50,000 subscribers and he has 50,000, and you get the same number of views, doesn't guarantee you're going to get the same income. Yeah, because the amount of income is dependent upon what subject matter that they put your BookTube your YouTube channel into. So BookTube is not a high priority, a high paying bucket.
Yeah,
there are people that do it though. There are people that do it. I mean, I will say there are some of the BookTube channels I watch where you can tell that it's a job for them, and it's not as fun. You know, even if they have interesting things to say, a lot of time you're like, this video just feels like you manufactured it because you needed to, because this is your job. And I can respect that it's your job, but you know,
it's not the same. It's not the same. Yeah. The ones that they're reviewing a book, and you can tell it's because it's just come out and they feel like they have to rather than they wanted to.
Yeah.
And they never go to secondhand shops and go on about what they bought in a secondhand shop.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So Rage will be on a low boil until Trump dies, or until
I will say I don't really do book hauls just because that's not, doesn't interest me a whole lot to do. But I do, when I go to Bangalore, there are a few used bookstores I've been going to. And so I go to Bangalore to teach. I take the bus, then the metro, and then I go, and there's like a bunch of used bookstores on one street. And so the last couple of times I've been, I come back with like 25 books because they cost like 200 rupees each. And I showed a picture of them to Alex. Yeah, you can. And, a lot of them are like, 1970s, 1980s paperbacks, things like this. And so I'm just acquiring a library of books that goes beyond my purview of what I want to own. But being in a used bookstore like that, it's hard not to,
People love the hauls, even if it's hauls, even if it's used books. People
no, I appreciate that. It's just,
You're saying. What did you said? You showed him to Alex. What did Alex say when you showed him?
Well, the first time I was lucky coming back from Bangalore because my friend was flying in, so I get picked up in a car, so I'd have to carry all these books home. He's like, I don't know how you would have gotten home with all those books in the bus. And I was like, that is a good point. And then the next week I came back and I had I had half the books I'd bought last time, and I was like, see, much more manageable. And he's like, brother, that's still a lot of books. And I was like, yeah, but they were 200 rupees each, so how can you say no? Yeah. Or it's like 85 rupees to a US dollar right now. So when I buy books, I think in US dollars, unfortunately. which is not a good way to think. I should be thinking in rupees, but you know. What I'm really trying to do is I have a bunch of books, like series that I want to read, and I have a lot of them digitally already, but I'd like to collect the hard copies. And so then, even if I'm not planning on reading it right away, I'll just pick them up because I know I want to have them for the future, you know, when I can get them on discount.
Yeah.
More Mockingbird.
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm just trying to pop through these here. I'll let you mention this. I also wrote down Mockingbird.
Uh-huh.
Oh, that's more.
It's a,
His nightmares about Trump. We can
Don't trash his golf course. You'll be labeled a domestic terrorist. Do not do it. You'll disappear.
Yeah.
That is a bad idea.
I've got chili chicken wings crisps here.
Chili chicken wings.
Couldn't decide on one or the other. You have to put them all in one.
Yeah,
Oh my
yeah,
God.
they're really nice.
What? Look, can I see one of those? Take it out.
Is it like bright orange? No? Oh, okay. You can tell it's not American. If it was American, it would be like fluorescent colored.
Oh, would it?
Why do they call it wings?
No, that's the flavor.
No, the flavor. Chicken wings flavor.
Chili chicken wings flavor. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Does it
No,
taste
not
like
actually.
chili chicken wings? That's a
Yeah,
very
it does.
specific.
Yeah, it does. It does. It's very
Like
nice.
it's
Yeah, it does.
almost even though it's a chip, it feels like you're eating a chili chicken wing.
I'm sorry, Dave. It's not a chip, mate. It's a crisp.
My bad.
I'd love to have a plate of chips in a minute. That'd be awesome. There are no chip shops open at 2 a.m. Sadly.
You're in the wrong city then.
Yeah, they would be in London. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Rage. It's hard to tell how Rage really feels.
You have to read between the lines sometimes.
Ryan. There we go. Okay. Second half of Mockingbird is 5 stars. Might be an outlier with Tranquility, but her writing to me seems subpar. I mean, I am used to Robin Hobb and Tad Williams. Heidi's a big Robin Hobb fan.
She hasn't written a lot besides The Realm of the Elderling. She has one other big series, or one other trilogy. Not a lot outside of that. A few. I guess when you have a 16-book series, you can't expect more, right?
Yeah. I mean, they can't all be Brandon Sanderson or Adrian Tchaikovsky. So
No.
I mean, one a year seems pretty impressive to me. You know, I mean,
Yeah. I wonder, the marketing behind it just seems so strange. Like when you flood the market, it just seems so much, you know? Like one a year is pretty standard. I know like King would only release one a year, Stephen King. And even when he wrote more than one a year, he just put it in a shelf and it would wait. And then they would like strategically release one book a year.
Yeah.
And that was critical after his accident, right? After he got hit by a truck, he didn't write anything for like a year and a half.
Yeah. Yeah. But I don't know. I mean, it seems to be working for Sanderson and Tchaikovsky, right?
I mean, Sanderson really built up his fan base, right? I guess Tchaikovsky did as well, but like Sanderson really went as an internet darling and like built it from like an organic growth, you know? You see that a lot in sci-fi and fantasy space, I suppose.
Yeah, he's probably benefited from the internet and like, you know, maybe appearing at the start of the internet.
Wait, so 13 degrees. Why? 13 Celsius. What is that Fahrenheit?
Lots.
It's what?
Was it?
It's like 60 or something.
About 60?
Yeah, give or take.
I have this like fan just blowing on Olive. Otherwise, she'd.
I tell you what, that is really hot for Scotland.
I
just remembered that Jenny's in Scotland. That is really hot because it gets progressively colder the further you go up.
Jenny, what's your average temperature there in the summer? And tell us in Fahrenheit, please. TV series Station 11 got weirdly family saga melodrama. Not at all what the book was about. Would you agree with that, Lecton?
I don't. I mean, it was so long ago that I don't remember. I just remember not liking it as much because it did something. So I think, yeah, probably. I don't remember why I didn't like it as much. I just remember they changed some of the antagonists in the end.
Yeah, that's a fair point, Heidi.
Yeah.
Maybe they should have paid him to do it, right?
He's never written a TV script, has he?
Yeah, it is different. It is a different beast.
Yeah.
You know.
Too busy writing 12 books a year. All right, see you, Brian. You're already gone. Turn it off like this. Okay. Margaret's not a fan of the daylight savings. So sad. Yeah, I don't know. I was thinking about trying it, even though I didn't love the book. I was thinking about trying the show, but I guess I won't bother now. I got too many.
I mean, maybe if you didn't like the book, you might like the show. Who knows? You know, maybe.
Yeah. Maybe was it more action packed than the book?
No, I think it was less.
Just drama.
Yeah, I think so.
That's not for me.
I don't really remember.
I just, you know what? Yeah, go ahead.
Who was leading the show though? It wasn't Javier Bardem, was it? Who was the lead? Like the lead actor who died in the first episode. I remember the first episodes being really good. Like I really enjoyed the first episodes, but then it just kind of devolved, you know. Oh, this is
Daylight Savings Time. Yeah, I thought it was a lot older.
Nicole's on top of it. Yeah.
Bring back the time where everyone gets an extra hour of sleep.
It is true. I mean, they've shown pretty consistently. There have been studies that show when you lose the hour of sleep in fall, like children's test scores go down. Like it has a measurable effect on performance, at least at schools, you know, by changing sleeping patterns that way and that abruptly.
Well, so far behind here. It's all about daylight savings time. I'll skip through these. Let's see. Love you. All right. See you, Constance. Be on back by the time Dave reads us. Maybe.
Sing a lady.
That's what you're fighting with Alexa. Turning the clock back. Yeah. More clocks. Wow. All right, are we getting there? I was taught the years back. Wow, there was a lot about daylight savings. Titus goes all about rituals as the way of life in Gormenghast Castle. Ken should drop his TBR and read it ASAP.
Gormenghast is on my TBR.
It's on mine.
It's a big. Or the series, right? All three of them.
I feel very intimidated by it though, because I'm just a bit worried that I wouldn't like it as much as I'd like to like it. You know?
Yeah, I know that feeling.
Want to know if you play any musical instruments like them?
I play. Well, I don't now, but I did play tenor sax in high school.
Ah, okay.
I didn't really have any plan on it. I sang. You know, I've been singing in choir since I was a young boy. And I was in all the different choirs in my school. And then I think at the end of my sophomore year, maybe my junior year, one of them, the band teacher handed me a sax. And he said, you're in the band in the jazz band next year, so learn how to play this. So I did. I mean, good enough for a public high school band. Let's put it that way.
I love it when I get a sax player in my classes. I love it. It's brilliant.
I have it here. I brought it with me, but it's just sitting there. I'm not going to...
You never play it?
You know, when I first brought it back from the States, I only brought it a couple years ago. It was like sitting in my mom's attic for a long time. And I brought it and I bought some reeds and I bought like some training music. And I spent like an hour going through my scales, remembering my fingering once. And then I have not touched it since then.
Oh.
The fingering came back pretty quickly though. Even after a decade away, the fingering came back pretty quickly, but no. It's also loud. Like it's so loud, you know, to practice saxophone in a community with people living all around you. It's hard to do, you know. It's not a quiet instrument that you can just practice on your own.
Yeah. Oh, there's that Oh Dad, Poor Dad.
Oh, it's an absurdist play.
Okay.
Arthur Coppett. Okay.
So slowly. These are very 20-something calculations.
Who knows?
Okay.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Lecton, you should do a booktube discussion with John at Talking Story. He ran a theater company.
Oh.
Drop your TBR and read Glorious Sex. Heidi's very insistent about reading her recommendations.
Okay.
She gave up on us because we.
I'll write it down at the very least.
Glorious exploits take place in 412 BC when the Syracusans put on Euripides' play with the Athenian prisoners.
Huh. Okay.
Church of England is the church where people can't bend their elbows. Who said that?
I also don't know what that means. Like, what is, like, what's implied by that?
Can't bend their elbows.
I mean, the Church of England started, right? Because Henry VIII wanted to marry more wives, divorce his wives. So I suppose, right? I mean, Episcopalianism is the Church of England, right? It's the American branch of Anglicanism. So it's the same thing. But I have no clue what this means. It's taking the piss out of them somehow.
I found it very fascinating when I looked at the whole Reformation and the whole way that religion changed so much at that time with Protestantism. And when I did it in my degree, I thought it was really interesting because it went across Europe in such a weird way, and there was loads of people that millenarians. Hold on, what's the word? The kind of the prophets that were saying that the world was going to end. Those guys. There were loads of them, absolutely loads, and all with different reasons why it was going to end, and and it was just really fascinating. Reading about it. Some big ones in Sweden, and
the Swedenborgians were a big group. There's a bunch. There's a Swedenborgian church in Cambridge that I knew some Buddhists that had some teachings at the Swedenborgian church that they rented out. And I don't know anything about the church except that it's called the Swedenborgians, which is the best part of it. Clearly, no offense to anyone that practices the Swedenborgian faith, but it's pretty great. I mean, honestly, I think that so much of faith, growing up in an Episcopalian church is really very liberating because they are very open-minded about practicing and things like that, which is nice. As opposed to other churches would say, if you don't follow what we say, then you're going to burn in hell and there's nothing true but our way. So I will say I benefited from being in a religious environment that didn't say this is the only way to exist in the world. But my experience of religious people is that when you find something that works for you, the religion, the man-made part of the religion is just the details on the outside. It's not the important part, right, of any spiritual practice. It's just how you frame something, this friend of mine who was a Celtic Orthodox bishop, he wasn't a Celtic Orthodox to begin with. He grew up in New England, French Catholic. He joined a Catholic order, or a pre-Vatican Catholic order. So they don't recognize the First Vatican Council, so they don't recognize the authority of the Pope. So they're called pre-Vatican. And he was with them for a couple of decades. But then the founder of that started getting dementia, and he wanted all his priests to sign the document saying that he was having direct revelations from God. And so my friend wouldn't sign it, so they kicked him out. He was 60 years old. He had $20 to his name and 2 sets of robes, but he wouldn't sign this paper saying that this guy was having revelations from God. So he got kicked out of his order and was just kind of doing his own thing. And he met this Celtic Orthodox, one of his students. He went to France, and one of his students' wives had died. And he was like, oh, there's this group that was really helpful for me when my wife died. I want you to meet them. So he went to this small monastery of these Celtic Orthodox monks. And then he just said, he felt like he was coming home. And I was like, well, what did the Celtic Orthodox believe? Is that the same thing you believe? And he was like, nah, it's fine. It all works. So he just totally changed to becoming Celtic Orthodox. And then since he never recognized the primacy of the Pope, they said that all of his lifetime experience counted as longevity. So he was made a bishop after 1 or 2 years of being part of this community that he joined.
Oh, right? Wow.
But so I was just how can you just change to a whole different faith and you don't even know what they believe? And he's like, yeah, it's fine. It's all the same. It all works. And I'm like, okay, so for some people, the religion on the outside is the wrapper and it's the practice that matters, and you see that with really good people, that the details of the religion are inconsequential, to who they are as a person.
But that's also why you get a whole spectrum of different types of people within the same religion as well.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Who are more concerned with the wrapper than with the meaning, with the outside or the inside? What is more important?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. Joe's here. Happy to see you, Lecton.
Hey, Joe.
Joe.
Spoiler: Pat was not here. Mary, I have the impression it's more Joe in the chest, but I could be wrong. Worcester is that the regular? That's the problem.
The Worcester accent is very uncommon.
Yeah.
The Worcester. We're outside of Boston, so it's our own version of the Boston accent. And it's funny. Growing up there, I never really had a strong Worcester accent, but depending on who I'm talking with, it comes out sometimes. And so it's Worcester. That's how you pronounce it. There's no words end in R. It's not possible.
Always Joe. It's always Joe. Except when Joe's on the show, then it's Mary.
Yeah.
Well, didn't want to. Worries. To the basement, Pat, 45 minutes ago. I hope Pat's okay. I was a bit frightened because of, poor Pat. Night speeches of African Americans on tour in 1830-40s for abolition. One speaker really wanted.
There you go.
Yeah. Which is what we were saying.
Yeah. Yeah, let's not talk about ICE. Oh my goodness. We want to get into a political discussion there.
Oh my god. I feel like
Dispossessed is great.
It is great.
Heidi.
Yeah. Yeah, so we're doing Ursula K. Le Guin group read, right?
We are.
January, so I'm gonna hit that.
January, we can do every single book.
Yeah, but that was pretty, that was like her. She'd been written. It was like her 7th or 8th book at that point, so it'll be a while before you get there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah,
I need people to discipline me.
It'll be the autumn.
Hmm.
The autumn, Dave. The autumn.
It will be the autumn. Do you not use autumn over there, Gareth?
Yeah, we don't say fall.
Yeah.
I see.
And
Yeah.
you say
You
you say the autumn?
The autumn, yeah.
Oh, okay. Because we say the fall or just autumn. We don't say the autumn.
Oh no, we say autumn. We don't say the.
Oh,
autumn.
okay.
Okay. It's very formal. It's very, very formal.
It is formal.
When you have to add the accent, you have to add the definite particle.
Do you pronounce the N at the end?
Oh my goodness. Autumn.
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 Autumn. Autumn. Num, num, num.
That's just when you're hungry. Autumn, num, num, num. That's when you want to go to a chip shop, but it's 2 a.m, so you have to settle for crisps instead.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you do it later in the year, it's winter. Num, num, num.
Oh, we are almost caught up, guys. People don't love my hauls, and I only do a few years. Shrug.
Oh.
Yeah, some people love hauls. I like watching hauls. I just,
Love your hauls, Margaret.
I'm not going to. I said I'm not going to leave my spot, but I did find an Ursula K. Le Guin book that I didn't have in a secondhand shop a few days ago. So I think it's The Telling. I didn't have that one. So yeah, that was so. I could have done a little mini book haul moment there.
I'm gonna have.
It'll be more than a mini moment if you had to get up and get it, though. We'd have a big moment. That's what we're trying to avoid.
You really don't have pants on, do you?
It's very hot.
Oh my god!
Because it's also different kind of heat in it. It's like humid in it over here and that. And there's there's no air conditioning over here either. Remember, we don't have air conditioning.
I mean, you're talking to someone who lives in South India, my friend. There's only going to be so much sympathy I get for British heat.
Absolutely, no, absolutely get that.
Right now, let's see how it's at 7 a.m. It is 21 degrees, but it's the cold season right now. So,
right, yeah,
21 Celsius.
And 21's still hot, isn't it? Really?
For 7 a.m.
What is that Fahrenheit?
around 70, give or take.
Okay.
It's coming up to
still
the rainy
t-shirt
season.
weather. You don't want to be able to put a sweatshirt on, are you? Or a coat?
No, we're not supposed to have our arm covered. So like you always have like, you're always a little cold or really hot depending where it is. It's coming up to rainy season here, so we get the monsoon. When the monsoon actually comes, it'll just rain nonstop 24 hours a day for about a month. And like it's pre-rainy season right now, so it's always overcast, and it like will rain in these 30-minute increments throughout the day. And so it's a little bit damp and miserable, I will say. The rest of the year it's really hot, but during rainy season, oof.
Yeah, but when I was in Thailand, I was really struck by how lovely warm rain is. Because rain.
Yeah, it is
here,
nice.
You get wind.
It's miserable.
It's cold. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's really nice, the warm rain.
Yeah, the problem here really with the rainy season is that nothing ever dries, and like having to put on like damp clothes is really miserable. And if you're not careful, if you like put your clothes in storage and you don't think about it, they get mildewy. So you have to like be very careful how you store your clothes and all these things. So that's not fun. But the weather is so intense here, and the rainy season is all about the winds, right? There's like really strong wind, and so there have been times where, especially around noon, 1 o'clock, there's direct sunlight and you're burning up, but there's also a cloud over you, but the sunlight is at such an angle that you can be sitting in a spot of sunshine and being rained on at the same time. It's very unusual.
A little bit.
So King's Son has helped some. That's the filling in the gaps, I guess.
I think
King's
that's
Son.
referring to how prolific he is. I think he's helping him out now.
November and May. There was a decade when King books were the only books I read.
Wow.
He might have been at some point doing 2 a year, but then he switched to really one. And these days, it's a little bit different. Who knows?
Yeah. So Margaret says 55 degrees in Scotland for the summer. Fahrenheit. Yeah, that's not a warm summer.
No.
I could deal with that though. Mormon reference.
Yeah, I mean New Englanders, you get used to that kind of thing.
I think they said this morning that down here it's going to be in the mid-30s on the weekend, which is
that's hot.
That's hot.
Yeah.
So,
Margaret, your jokes are always so witty that we always miss one or two of them. I'm sorry.
Have either of you seen the Book of Mormon or listened to it? I haven't.
Yeah.
So
we saw it. We saw it. Yeah, we saw it. In New York City.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. It was great.
Let's put that on the poster. It was great.
It was ... It was great.
That's the review after a 3-hour live stream. The reviews get more condensed. The longer the live stream goes, the shorter the reviews get.
You say it was, and then your brain's going, have I finished the sentence yet? And Dave's bound, he's bound to finish these. He's like trapped. He has to finish the comments before. So yeah, we could be here for a while.
No, we're almost there.
We're there. Oh, okay.
Yeah, Diane's saying don't watch the Station 11 series. Close to my name.
That was
that's right. It was Gail Garcia Bernal. That's true. That's true. He did a great job in that. Again, in the first episode.
So Sanderson was brought in as a consultant for the Wheel of Time. Okay, but they did not take his advice. Tones of a saxophone leaking forth from a Buddhist monastery. We confuse some folks.
Well, the Tibetans have these horns they play that are called the gelrong, and they sound similar to some Indian instruments. That if you take like a clarinet and put it in a bag and then like beat it across a rock a few times, that's kind of what they sound like.
There's no one in the comments saying, because that was when you said it was a loud instrument. There's no one saying, I play drums, hold my beer.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, right. Clarinet. Yeah, I played clarinet back in the day. That was just the instrument we had in the family. So, Eddie Lizard quote about
Church of England. The elbow quote.
Yeah.
Who knows what she meant? Who knows what she meant? Yeah, she's great.
He's making up rules. What?
They leave out the M. Alton. That's weird. Autumn.
Autumn? Or how do they? So how do
They
you
leave
say
out the M, so it'd be autumn. Whereas we'd say autumn.
Autumn? I don't get it.
Just move on, Dave. Move on. It's fine. Yeah, move on.
Let's see, I guess it sounds better. All right, see you, Elaine.
Bye, Elaine.
I think that's actually timely though. We're caught up.
It says,
Wow.
we caught up. Wow, it's always such a challenge. Woo! All right, so it's getting late here, but Lecton, what are you reading now?
What am I reading now?
At some point, we have to talk books. So
okay, like I said, I'm reading this collection of plays by Clive Barker. 3 plays. I've gotten through 2 of them. I have 1 play left. They're interesting. I'm enjoying them. I don't really, like I said, I think I would rather see them performed than just read them. I'm also reading an audiobook called Lavender House, which is a murder mystery set in the 1950s San Francisco. But the main character is a gay man who is just kicked off the police force for being caught, on his knees in a bathroom during a raid at a gay bar. And it's interesting. The thing with mysteries is you have to really get to the end to see if it was worth it or not. So far, it sounds like it's written pretty well, but it could go south real quickly depending on how it ends, And I think that's all I'm reading right now. Tomorrow, or I guess today, I hope to start this. This is the next one on my list. So The Emperor of Gladness by Ocean Vuong.
So
have either of you read this yet? It's his newest book, Ocean Vuong. His last book that he wrote is so his family is refugee from Vietnam. He came when he was quite young, and he's a poet, really. But he's written 2 novels and then a couple of books of poetry. And his last book was called On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous, which is really phenomenal, really like a heartbreaking. It's like a fictionalized memoir, and it's all written as a series of letters to his mother, telling about his life. But the heartbreaking part is that his mother doesn't speak English, and so this like inner part of him that he has to share with his mother, he can only write it in English in a way that she can't ever understand, and that's like the overarching conceit. Really, really beautiful writing. You can tell it's a poet writing a novel, and so this is his new novel. So I'm excited to read that. So that's next on my queue.
Oh.
What about you?
Me or him? Me.
Both. Whoever's you today.
At the same time.
Oh, this one.
Oh.
I started without telling Gareth. I feel bad about it.
Look at that.
Oh, Jesus Christ. What are you like?
He made me wait for Cage of Souls, so I didn't feel bad about it.
That's a good thing.
Did you read this, Lecton? You read these, right?
No, I've got the trilogy sitting over here, but I'm going to wait.
Is it really good?
Well, I'm only like a fifth of the way through, but it is good so far. Yeah. It's you know what that one's about?
No.
I did one.
About planet destroyers, right? Something about like
there's these so that part is a little in the past. So there was like humanity has spread out, colonized all these worlds, but there was these mysterious like planet-sized aliens called the Architects, and they came in and they would basically just like they could do it with anything, but they would do it with planets, and they did it with Earth, where they would just like twist it like inside out and turn it into like a weird sculpture thing. And so Earth is done, but there's been so many colonies that have so many planets that have been colonized that humans are on, but human. So, and humans. So there's a couple of special groups that were created, well, at least in part, to kind of fight this. And there was these, what are they the Ints, they call them, to be these people that are like, were able to like communicate a little bit. They're able to like travel through unspace, which is, they're like moving like warp speed through not real space. And they were able to establish some kind of communication with these architects. And it was almost like I'm not spoiling anything. This is like all of it. And like once the architects like recognized that there was like an intelligent mind on the other side, it was almost like they didn't know what they were doing. So they recognized that there's like these intelligent minds. So then they just went away. They just disappeared. And so we're set in this world now. It's like the aftermath of that, where there's like not that many ints that are left over. There's this other like female fighting force that were like super soldiers called the Parthenons, and so these are like leftovers from that war that's now in the past, and now we're living in this world where like humanity's spread all over, but there's actually a bigger, more dominant like alien force that has, you know, a lot of humanity has like joined their, you know, galactic thing and whatever you call it,
the galactic thing.
They're big group. They have a lot of like intelligent species like within their, you know, overall grasp, and so these it's like this now makeshift crew of like different people like. And one of this Parthenons joins it. One of the Ints is part of it, and like there's a indication that maybe the architects are back, and so that's kind of
cool.
Setting
that's
for the
cool.
story. So it's good. So it's pretty good so far. It's pretty good so far.
Does it read quick? A lot of his books, even when they deal with like really weighty ideas, they read really quickly.
It does.
Like just the prose moves real quickly.
Yeah, it does. It does. Yeah.
What about you, Gareth?
So I'm in the middle. Well, I did just I'll start with a good thing. I did read the first one of the Edge books for June on the Range, and I really enjoyed it. So it's very immoral, it's very horrible, and everyone's horrible. There's no likable character in it, but I liked the randomness of it. You didn't know what was going to happen next, you know, and there was a kind of a grittiness, which was good. So that was cool. And then I started reading a book by Jack Schaefer, which is over there. I'm not going to go and get it. Called The Canyon, which is actually really boring. It's kind of disappointed me a bit because I was really excited to read it because he wrote Shane, and Shane's amazing. And I read another one by him last year that was really good. So that was a bit disappointing. And even from America, I took this on the plane to America, and I still need to finish that.
Oh,
John
yeah.
Scalzi's Starter Villain, but I wasn't enjoying it. And so I feel like I am reading it because I've started it, but I'm not really actively reading it. But I need to finish that as well.
It's in limbo.
So I feel a little bit in limbo with those two because that Jack Schaefer one's a little bit like I'll have to finish it. It's not very long, but yeah, so not a great thing. So I need to make sure that the
Just
next one I
DNF.
read-
Who is it that DNF to 75%? I don't remember now. That was a couple hours ago. Just take that advice, man.
Constance, was it? I think maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah. Well,
You're not enjoying it.
I don't know. It might get better. I mean, to be fair, what it says on the back, it says that this Native American guy is stuck somewhere and he's on his own, and it's like a survival thing. And like so far, what I've read, like, well, when are you going to get that bit? Because he's not even, you know. So yeah. So I'm sure maybe it'll get all thrilling once that happens. I don't know. But yeah, I do need to make sure the next book is really good.
That's the Lavender House. Lev A.C. Rosen is the author of the Lavender House, which I'm reading. That's who that is.
Right.
That review. Sorry, looking at the comments.
Yeah.
So you're basically in the middle of a bunch of duds.
Yeah.
So you have anything to look forward to that you're reading, or are you just, flagellating yourself?
I'm looking forward to the end of term. When I get to the end of term, I'll read a really good book. So we've got about 3 weeks left, and then I'll read a really good book. Yeah, I think that's it. Which one's the only Tchaikovsky she's got?
The Shards of the Earth, maybe?
Oh,
Shards of the Earth. Yeah, I think so.
Oh, okay.
That's how close we are. We can actually be referencing things we're talking about.
Yeah, right.
And tell you what, Margaret doesn't normally read science fiction, so that's pretty cool. She goes backwards. We go forward, she goes backwards.
Yeah, that's right. Not spiders.
No, not spiders. Not in every book.
Yes.
He does have some spider situation going on in Spiderlight, which I guess makes sense because it is called Spiderlight.
Yeah.
That's the fantasy book I was mentioning last time. I think you'd like. It's a really self-contained, small little fantasy book.
Yeah.
Which also has giant spiders.
I suppose
They don't play a critical role, but they play a role.
All that research you did in spiders, wanted to use it again.
Right, exactly.
Waste all that research.
Yeah. I was looking at that. I was thinking about picking that up. I got so many things on the list, but it'd be nice just to read a short. The only short
standalone.
Short, standalone and short. Short Tchaikovsky is
saturation point.
Yeah. Well, when are we going to do that?
I'm up for it soon if you want.
Okay. Let me know. I'm ready.
Yeah.
I mean, by the time you tell me, I might be busy reading Cage of Souls with Lecton. But you know,
yeah, I know. I brought that down because I do want to read that as well.
Yeah.
I brought that down to show.
Yeah. I'm just.
Did you like? I haven't read Dogs of War yet. I just got my copy or my B speaker.
Really
my copy
good.
of B speakers in the mail right now.
Yeah, that's
But
my second
I haven't read the other
favorite
ones yet.
Tchaikovsky.
Really?
Yeah, I really liked it. Yeah.
He doesn't do. He doesn't do much military sci-fi, but that is a military sci-fi series, right?
Yeah, it is.
That's at least how it's marketed. Yeah.
It is. Yeah, but it's quite different, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm excited. Yeah.
I read that the Ironclads, which was
it
was
one of his novellas. Yeah, his Terrible Worlds novellas.
Yeah. And did you read it?
I haven't. I've read another one, and I have a book that has a couple of them collected, but I haven't read that one yet. Ironclads.
That's like pretty much the only way you can get it, I think. But I hate to say this about a Tchaikovsky book, but I just really didn't like it.
Yeah.
You liked it, right, Gareth?
Yeah, I thought it was good. I didn't like it as much as the others, but I did like it.
Yeah.
I think that's part of the fun of doing these novellas, though, is that he just has an idea, and he's like, I'm just going to write this idea, and it's just going to be 100 pages, and, you know, that's okay. Like, you can take them or go. You know, they're little things. It's much easier to read a novella to not feel so disappointed when you only read a novella and you don't like it than to commit 600 pages to something and then be like, ugh, you know?
Yeah. No, that's true.
Yeah. Well, at least we haven't had that experience with any of his longer ones yet.
Yeah. That'd be hard work.
Well, especially if you like Alien Clay and Service Model, both. But those are a couple people have mentioned they didn't like those. Yeah.
I'm just thinking about what I have to do like in about 4 hours, 5 hours.
Oh, Margaret, he was in a good mood.
I might have to try to just keep going and not sleep at all. But I don't know because obviously means I can't really be fully awake for the things I have to do. I'm not even gonna. I have to leave my students to be independent tomorrow so I can do this other stuff, which is just a mess. It's just I hate it when I do that, but I have to do that. So yeah. You need a
little kip. You need a little kip.
Yeah. I was just gonna say one class will be fine. The other class they probably break something. So I should probably be in the room.
I've only DNF'd a handful of books I have to finish. Yeah,
I'm the same. I have a hard time DNFing, but I always, in my head, I'm like, DNFing is a good thing. You should DNF something if you're not enjoying it. But then when it comes to me having to make that choice, I'm not good at doing it.
Yeah.
I'm good at giving that advice, but
logically it's the right thing to do, but it's hard. Once you're invested, it's hard to.
The sunk cost fallacy is real for books, you know? It's just easy to get lost in.
Yeah. I think it's satisfying when something does redeem itself. If the end of the book is good, you think, oh, actually, that's makes you feel better for reading it.
And as long as you can remember those, that's what keeps you doing it over and over again. You forget all the ones that don't give you that adrenaline rush.
Brilliant. I really like Service Model.
Yeah, I will, Heidi. I will. I just get to it yet. And that he's got that other one out now, Shroud. It's like a horror.
Yeah, it's good. It's a survival horror. It's fun.
Oh, you read it?
Yeah, I read it. Yeah, when it came out.
Didn't it just come out?
A few months ago.
Oh.
Well, you know what? It just came out in the U.S. It came out in the UK like 4 months earlier or 5 months earlier.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So a lot of his books have different release dates in the U.S. and the UK. So yeah, I read it when it came out in the UK release date. It's good. Yeah. It's very much a survival horror, but it's not very scary. It's more about this. I don't want to give too much away, but there's really interesting alien world building, and it's about communication to some extent. And there's constant like miscommunications between them visiting this alien world and the aliens on that world, and how that can lead to very difficult situations.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
And how capitalism is awful and ruins everything. But that kind of goes with most of his books. You can trust that to be like an underlining message in about 2/3 of Tchaikovsky's books.
Yeah.
Must be why I like him.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Great discussions. Hope you feel better, Gary.
I'm not ill. I'm just knackered.
Yeah.
And doubting my sanity for being a teacher.
Yeah, I mean, I have to go to class in an hour and a half, so I'm not going to get a nap. nap in today.
Mm.
That's okay.
Mm.
It'll be afterwards. I'll go to class, have a lunch. I don't have morning class today. Often I have class at 7 a.m., like a private class with my teachers. So I don't have that today, but I have to go to debate in the morning. But morning debate's quite easy. It's mostly group debate. So I can just sit and watch others debate and be on the periphery.
You don't
That's a nice
actually have
thing.
to get all up in somebody's face yourself. You can just.
Not for group debate. I don't have to. I let the youngins do it. If you go to Google and you search for like Tibetan monks debating, you'll probably see some group debates and they can get heated. Like it's the most exercise a lot of the monks get. And like when you're debating, you're stomping your feet and slapping your hands like it's a big performance. You get in people's face. And when it's a group debate, there'll be usually 2 people answering. And then a whole bunch of people will be like fighting about who gets to prove them wrong. So you'll see like monks, like I've seen shirts get ripped. I've seen like violence happen when you're trying to like, I want to be the one to prove them wrong. So you like push people out of the way. It's when it goes well, they're in when they like can get in cute when they get in like lockstep with each other, then they like debate the same thing simultaneously because they know where the debate's gonna go, and that's always fun to see. But quite often it's just like a wrestling match about how I can shout at you the loudest and push him out of the way. And then the person answering has to try to argue like multiple points of view at the same time because he's being shouted at by all these different people. And I'm always like, you know what? I'm just gonna sit here and watch. This is not my speed. This is, I'm good at observing.
Wow.
I'm too old for the shenanigans.
Like a hockey.
Yeah.
It is like a hockey game sometimes. And I mean, hypothetically, right? Like one of the things they say to us is when you go to the debate courtyard, if you are just like very passive, then you're not going to learn anything. The whole point of going to debate is to get rid of your doubts and to learn something, right? So if you're like very passive and very meek, then you don't push anyone. You don't see where your boundaries are, so you don't learn anything. So they say when you go to the debate courtyard, you have to be hampachempo, which means like arrogant, like super arrogant, but it only can exist on the debate courtyard. You have to be able to turn it off when you leave the debate courtyard. And that's something some of the young monks struggle with, like the new ones,
Yeah.
like if you carry it with you and you get a little bit feisty. So you have to learn how to just turn it on, turn it off.
Yeah.
The hampachempo. And I never have the hampachempo. I'm just like
Hampachempo.
hampachempo means like arrogant,
Hampachempo.
like really arrogant.
I love that word. Hampachempo.
Yeah.
Hampachempo. What does it sound like? Hampachempo. Hampachempo. Don't know. For some reason, it's making me think of the Marx Brothers. Hampachempo.
So no, if you see some of the debates, they look quite rowdy. But it's also most exercise some of these monks get. You have to give them a chance.
That's awesome.
I'll just nap.
How many people are in the chat now, Dave?
Not counting me, it looks like it's just dropped down. People are going off. Looks like about 4,
Yeah.
so we should probably wrap it up since you guys are both busy later this morning. So
Well, it's been great, guys. I really appreciate you inviting me on. It's been a lot of fun.
thanks so much for coming. We appreciate you sticking with us 3.5 hours here.
It's been amazing.
It's been great.
Really good.
We have to get you back really soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not going anywhere, at least for the next 20 years. So
Yeah.
I'm good at long-term commitments. You see, I've proven myself.
And listen, if you need us to next time, we can bring the the fight.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Oh.
We can make it angry.
Okay, we can. Yeah. We'll have to figure out what we can argue about. Find something.
We'll have to rip off our own shirts.
Yeah. Right. No, Gary.
As long as you don't stand up, that's fine.
Thanks, everybody.
Okay, thanks everyone.
We'll see you next time.
Thanks, Lecton.
Yeah, thanks.
Amazing.
Have a good one.
Wait, hold on, Alan. Hold on.
You're going to be really clever.